and loaded. Truth on my blade, every line's exploded. You swing your words, I counter with precision. Battle of reason, this is my mission. Raise your fist, let them know. No. Raise your voice, let it blow. Woo! We clash our swords of reason. Cut through like no retreating. Yeah. No fear, no chain, no treason. Woo! We clash our swords of reason. We clash our swords of reason. Cut through like no retreating. Yeah. No fear, no chain, no treason. Woo! We clash our swords of reason. Step back, I'm a scholar and a fighter. Every claim you throw, I strike tighter. Logic and power, I never fold. In the war of words, I'm solid gold. Raise your fist, let them know. Whoa. Raise your voice, let it blow. Woo. We clash our swords of reason. Cut through like no retreating. Yeah. No fear, no chain, no treason. Woo. We clash our swords of reason. We clash our swords of reason. Cut through like no retreating. Yeah. No fear, no chain, no treason. Woo. We clash our swords of reason. Every thought a fortress, every claim a storm. We forge a truth where chaos takes form. Ideas ignite like lightning through the night. In the war of minds, we bring the light. Step in, feel the heat. Truth is my weapon, never beat. Raise them high, break the ceiling. With a fire, with a feeling. We clash our swords of reason. Cut through like no retreating. No fear, no chain, no treason. We clash our swords of reason. We clash our swords of reason. Cut through like no retreating. No fear, no chain, no treason. We clash our swords of reason. We clash our swords of reason. Cut through like no retreating. No fear, no chain, no treason. We clash our swords of reason.
Welcome, everybody, to Swords of Reason right here on the Speakeasy Show, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. This is where logic meets passion. If you're new here, the format is simple. Each debater gets 10 minutes for opening statements, followed by a 5-minute uninterrupted rebuttal. Then we open the floor for a full hour of back and forth debate before wrapping it up with 5-minute closing statements from each side. After that, we'll spend 30 minutes answering your questions from the chat. I'll drop a live Q&A, and you can start putting your questions in right after they start their openings. And at the 30-minute section of the Q&A, the Super Chats, PayPals, and Cash Apps will be getting priority. And if they fill up the whole 30 minutes, your questions in the live Q&A may not get answered. So if you want to make sure your question gets answered because there's one you really want to hear the answer to, send in a Super Chat, make sure it gets answered. And once the formal debate is done, we open the doors to the community for a chaos and chill panel. That's where anyone can hop in, challenge, or question the debaters if they choose to stay, because this part is optional for the debaters. Today's debate prompt is red pill manosphere causes more harm than good for men. And now let's meet today's debaters. For the affirmative, we have Rebuttal, who has a channel right here on YouTube where he doesn't post much, but I'm sure after today we're going to see much more content coming. So make sure you guys all go sub up over and give him some support. All right. And for the negative, we have Marte Reyes, a ex-IFBB professional bodybuilder with also a channel here on YouTube where he focuses on politics, social issues, and his relationship with God. All right. So debaters, you know the rules. Keep it sharp. Let's get this rocking. I'm going to bring up the timer here. And just one more reminder for the chat. Again, if you want to make sure your questions get answered, send it via Super Chat because there's only a 30-minute window after the debate for the Q&A. And since, Mo, you are for the affirmative, you will be going first for opening statements. So whenever you are ready, go ahead. I will start the timer up with your voice. And thank you both for being here.
Get a little drink of water there. Well, first off, thank you, Easy and crew, for putting this debate together. Really appreciate it. And thank you, Marte, for showing up. I look forward to this discussion. But let's get into it. If you spend any amount of time looking into the red pill / manosphere, you'll find endless debates about what it is, what it isn't, and what it's for. Many arguments against it, especially from feminist and lower C Christians, rely on a straw man version of the argument. That's not my goal tonight. I'm going to steel man the red pill / manosphere best I can. Because if you're going to challenge a worldview, you shouldn't beat up the weakest version of it. And I intend to show that even the strongest version of the red pill / manosphere is still deeply lacking, and ultimately harmful for men, and in turn, society. The red pill / manosphere does get some things right. I'm sure Marte would agree with some of these. Men were lied to about relationships and masculinity. It gave men language for real issues like divorce, false accusations, and societal hostility towards men. It built brotherhood for isolated men. It encouraged fitness, discipline, and situational awareness. It provides data points for the gynocentric world men find themselves in. These are all legitimate insights and descriptors. Men do live in a gynocentric culture where courts, schools, the media treat them as disposable or dangerous. Progressives treat masculinity as a disease to be cured. This is destructive for society. But here's where everything cracks. The red pill / manosphere has no mechanism for producing the kind of men who would build stable families, men of virtue, or men with any real purpose, and in turn, a healthy society. They see the problem with legal marriage and its risks. Fine. But however, there are many studies out there that show the happiest men in the country are married with children. The unhappiest are unmarried and childless. If marriage is so bad for men, why do men without it report the worst well-being? The red pill / manosphere has no realistic path forward to solve this, because their prescription reduces down to materialism. Chase money, status, and sexual options. Maximize pleasure. Avoid the responsibility of having a wife and kids. But to what end? You can own every toy and die alone with a high score in body count. None of that will comfort you on your deathbed. That isn't legacy, that's just high status consumption. Then there's the dating device. Spin plates, sleep around, practice commitment by refusing commitment. You cannot rebuild a moral society by acting like hedonistic animals. Real masculinity demands restraint, not endless indulgence. Even if your goal is to find a virtuous wife, what exactly do you gain by spending years practicing with women who have no virtue? So, what happens to the men who follow the red pill? They chase casual sex, they delay or reject marriage, and what do they become? Well, there are worse things downstream of the red pill. Enter MGTOW, men going their own way. Men who stop trying, stop building, and opt out of society altogether. Men who brag about freedom while living a life without legacy. And when MGTOW isn't enough, there's a darker evolution, the black pill. The men who did everything the red pill told them, lifted weights, got money, built status, but still can't get what they long for. So, logically, they conclude the game is rigged by genetics and other factors they have no control over, and they give in to nihilism. Hopelessness is the final destination for these men. MGTOW is the pit stop, black pill is the crash site. Now, I'm not saying everyone who follows the red pill will become MGTOW or black pilled, but simply the red pill / manosphere move men further away from meaning, purpose, family, community, and virtue. So this is the thesis for everything I'll argue tonight. The red pill / manosphere gets the problems right and gets the solutions catastrophically wrong. And the men who follow it pay the price in the long run. So the main premises are red pill / manosphere list real cultural failures. 2, its prescriptions statistically make men less happy in the long run. 3, its core is hedonistic materialism, not purpose or real legacy. 4, it erodes the virtues needed for healthy families and in turn a healthy society. Men build and shape society. So that society is a direct reflection of the morals of the men who built it. And I will concede the rest of my time.
All righty. Thank you for that opening, Mo. And with that, we'll hand over the mic to Marte. And Marte, whenever you're ready, I will start the timer up with your voice. And again, thank you both for being here.
So my opponent actually made an argument for red pill the whole time, because I'm not making an argument for black pill. I'm not making this for MGTOW, which is not red pill. Although I do believe that this data packet that men follow is good. He also actually agreed to this, thus semi-conceding to the whole debate. But I'll get into this because I don't want to utter concession like my opponent last night was saying, I won. We're not going to go that tangent. So we're actually going to have a real discussion that also will be imbued with debates, woven and sewn throughout this whole discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, moderators, and anyone who's wandering here looking for the crochet club, you know what I'm talking about, the sewing circle Christians. I'm here to defend the outrageous proposition that the red pill doesn't destroy Christian men. It just complements the job that most youth pastors were scared to do. My opponent will tell you the red pill turns men into bitter, plate-spinning cynics who can't love. I'm here to tell you that it is the red pill data packet that aids in boys turning into men. AIDS, right? Who will finally stop volunteering to be the emotional tampon, walking wallet, and doormat to every girl who watched one too many Disney movies and 3 too many TikToks. We can all agree that feminism has infiltrated the nation and including churches. The red pill isn't anti-Christian, mind you. It's the protein shake that Christianity ordered, but the church kept replacing with decaf oat milk lattes, labeled servant leadership, as Western feminism infiltrated its very steps. We can all agree with this, and even Mo can agree with that. He's already agreed with half of my premise, and I'll continue. Christianity says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. Guess what? The red pill just adds the fine print nobody wants to read. P.S. Christ wasn't a simp. He flipped tables when necessary. So tonight, while my opponent may clutch his pearls and quote Ephesians 5 like it's a Hallmark card, I'll be over here pointing out that the same chapter also says wives should submit, something the red pill noticed about 15 seconds after feminism declared that word a hate crime. In conclusion, the red pill doesn't contradict Christianity. It just removes the laugh track that modern churches added so nobody feels uncomfortable. And if the truth hurts your feelings, well, welcome to manhood, population, guys who took the red pill and realized Captain America never got friend zoned for being too nice. Now, my opponent now has a debate at his helm, which he'll have to concede with. My whole argument is to state that the red pill complements Christianity, and it isn't a prescription. I talked to Rollo Tomasi himself in Vegas, the quote-unquote godfather red pill. He said there's no prescriptions in red pill. So that's my definition. Let's get this out of the way. The red pill is a data packet for men to follow, meaning like if I give you fire, you can choose what you want to do with fire. You can either cook a fire or burn a village down. Here, listen, to give you no prescriptions in this whole rhetoric. I just gave you a data pack of cautionary tales and warning signs. Now, without Christianity, guess what happens with fire? Without direction, guess what happens with fire? Anybody goes their own way and they make prescriptions. I agree that prescriptions are bad. That's never been the case for red pill. And I think that when you do this, there's been a grand schism in red pill where people have said, oh, this is red pill. Now, the schism boiled down to different denominations of red pill, which isn't red pill. He went down the path of MGTOW. He went down the path of black pill. None of that's red pill. All these people are designed to make, or actually, Dustin, by their own virtue, grifters, grifting off a bunch of men who are hopeless and saying, oh, we're just going to screw a bunch of women. That, again, isn't red pill. All red pill is just awareness of the society around you. If you go to church, because he brought up, bring your money up, physical fitness and all this other, the church actually promotes any of this too. Health is promoted by the church, bringing your status up, meaning like if I'm clergy, I have a different status than anybody else in the church. To me, it's like the red pill, to me, complements everything with Christianity. We don't see any difference with that. And I don't think Mo would disagree with that. So all these things that I would tell you is like, okay, red pill's just opening your eyes to data out there. And that's my argument and my definition all in one, so we can get that out of the way. So me and Mo aren't exactly speaking past each other. So when it comes to the red pill, once again, I'll say it's a data packet, not a prescription. Once again, I can refer to the source, which is Rollo Tomasi, who said, I've never given prescriptions and the red pill isn't prescriptive at all. It's just data saying if this girl has slept with 100,000 people, people called people harlots back in the day in the Bible. hence being a hoe. We know a duck quacks like a duck and walks like a duck is a duck. That's all the red pill does, is saying, here's the data. This is what to avoid. That's bad. There's nothing wrong with this. All Mo's going to do is say it's people that are being responsible with fire that are burning villages down. My argument is saying fire isn't bad. It's just what people do with the fire that makes it into something else that isn't red pill, because all red pill is just the thing until people get their hands on data, and people can do whatever they want with data, which warps it into something else that it isn't. So anyways, that's my argument, and I'm anxious to get into this debate.
All right. Thank you, Marte, for that opening statement. With that, we're going to get into the 5-minute uninterrupted rebuttals. So we're going to hand the mic back over to Mo Rebuttal for your rebuttal. No pun intended.
TM trademarks. I'm using it.
Oh, that's crazy, bro.
It's a good one. But yeah, whenever you're ready, I just want to remind the chat though, quick chat, the Q&A is there. So if you guys have questions for the debaters, get them in there. But again, if you really want to make sure it's answered, we only have a 30-minute window, and Super Chats, PayPal, and Cash Apps will get priority. So if you really want to make sure it's answered, get it through a Super Chat. But with that, we'll give the mic over to you, Mo. Whenever you're ready, I will start the timer up with your voice.
So notice my opponent here really didn't address the core of any of my arguments. He says that the red pill has Christian values in it. And also that it's just a data packet and it has no prescriptions. But let's go back to I can potentially concede the whole debate because I agree with some of the scriptures. If you have a doctor looking at a patient, he has a fever, and one person says, I'm going to hit him in the head with a baseball bat, and the other guy says, well, I'm just going to give him Tylenol. Clearly, one of them is the right path forward. Now let's talk about the red pill data packet not actually giving any prescriptions. It does have prescriptions. What happens a lot when you make statements is a lot of times there are hidden moral axioms within those statements. So he mentioned Rollo. I'm glad he did. I pulled a few different a list of things from Rollo's books, podcast, and etc. So let's take a look at one of the things it mentioned. He said it's very completely compatible with Christianity. One of the things it says is men evolve to pursue sexual variety. Marte, how does one pursue sexual variety in a Christian paradigm with a marriage with just one wife? I would love to hear his explanation on this. Going into the moral axioms, another thing that's listed is here, desire cannot be negotiated. Women are aroused by behavioral cues, not logic alone. So the men must be the source of confidence. Hidden moral axiom here, confidence is good. Men should be confident. Another one, frame is core to the male success. Another hidden moral axiom, maintaining frame is good. Losing frame is bad. You can't make some of these claims without having a moral qualifier to it. So this is just ridiculous. With that being said, I'd love to hear how Marte addresses some of these, and I'm anxious to get into it, so I'll just concede the rest of my time.
All righty. Thank you for that. And Marte, whenever you're ready, we're going to hand you back the mic for your 5-minute uninterrupted rebuttal. Whenever you're ready, start it up, and I'll start the timer with your voice.
Okay, my opponent actually didn't hear me say he conceded the whole debate. I said he conceded some of the debate. That's literally what I just said right now. But we'll go back to this and I'll address this point. So you have a paradox that's presented here. It's called the male sex drive is dangerous versus God-given paradox. And I'll actually explain this to you. Red pill says men are visually wired and have a powerful sex drive. Corn, OnlyFans, easy hookups, exploits that drive and ruin men. I mean, we can all agree with that. Even Christian men will agree with that. The Christian critic right here says red pill spaces obsess over female nature and make men misogynistic to some degree, and it leads them down the wrong path, thus giving them prescriptions. Well, no, it's just reality. The paradox that I'll present to you. The Bible repeatedly warns men that their sex drive is so strong that it could lead to death. This is from Proverbs. Also, and commands extreme measures through Matthew. So acknowledging the strength of male desire is not a red pill invention. It's coinciding with Genesis and other scriptures that we can bring in. So denying it or softening it is actually modern innovation if we deny any of this, which is what the red pill tells you not to do. So as you can see, not only have I addressed your argument, but can show that they can coincide cooperatively, right? So your whole argument is to say, okay, red pill bad because the doctor's in the middle. And then one patient says, okay, I'm going to do this with your information. Another person says, I'm going to do this with your information. Well, it would be the different patients not getting direction from the doctor. The doctor just gave them information and said, you have syphilis. You're just saying you have verbal syphilis. And every time you talk, you infect another person's mind with verbal syphilis. And here's the thing, though. If I tell you what the thing is, it doesn't make the person who gave you the data back. All it does is make them faulty at probably not solving the rhetoric, which also they never said that we're going to solve the problem by telling you what to do, which red pill doesn't get prescriptors on. If I talk to anybody else and I say, listen, man, your wife has been on backpages.com for a very long time, bro. It just wake up, listen to this. I know she says she changed her ways, but listen, she went through, actually, she broke the Guinness Book of World Record, and it's been 500 bodies. And this was just like 2 years ago. You know, so it's like if I tell somebody this and I say this was recent, hey, just be careful, bro, because this is a pattern and we're pattern recognition machines. And if I warn you about this, how am I bad? Because this is just data that I'm giving you. I'm not telling you what to do with this information, which is a data packet. I'm just telling you, hey, this is a pattern that I see. You can do whatever you want with this. You can take this. Matter of fact, if I was a Christian that was told this, now I can have more discernment when I make these decisions. All of this is just a social paradigm for us to get data, information. And I think that when I give you information, which is like the fire example I gave you, you can either decide to cook for this, which you can cook poisonous meals for your family and then say cooking is bad, which I can elaborate that cooking can also be good. Or you can say, I'm going to burn down a village, which can be good because this is the enemy that's going to grape and, off our children. And it's like, I just saved everybody's life because I just burned down a whole village. So here's the thing, though. What people do with the information isn't a prescription that the red pill offers. All it is just a data packet. What people do with this is their own devices. That's why it complements Christianity well. If you have a patriarchal structure, which the red pill also advises men to go to, that's great. Because if I was to tell somebody, hey, this is the information, use Christianity to follow through with the prescription, how am I bad? Can you answer that? I can see my time.
All righty. Thank you for that rebuttal, Marte. And with that, we are going to move it over into the hour of open floor for the debaters to cross-examine each other. But just real quick, another quick reminder for the chat. Again, if you got a question, we got the live Q&A. You should see it in the chat there. Just click on the Q&A, send a question in there. But if you want to make sure it's prioritized, because we only have a 30-minute window after the debate for Q&A, send it via Super Chat, Cash App, PayPal. And also, it helps us keep bringing you these debates, okay? We also have more debates coming up. And if you are interested in debating, make sure you get into the Discord. All right. And then send me a message and just let me know that you're interested in debating. And I will set you up. We will get you lined up for one. And yeah. So with that, thank you both for being here tonight. Again, yeah, you will find I actually still have to add both of them to the description. So you will find both of them in the description. I'm going to do that right now when I open up the floor for the hour. So make sure you go sub up to both the debaters, show them support for coming out and giving you a show. And with that, whoever wants to start out with the open floor, I will start the timer up with your voice. And again, thank you both for being here tonight.
Marte, you mentioned that you don't include the MGTOW and black pill part of the red pill. Is that correct?
No, I don't include that as part of the red pill.
Yeah, okay, but you would admit it's downstream of the red pill, wouldn't you?
Cultures, when you talk about culture, it's downstream from theology. That's like saying you would admit that Jehovah's Witnesses are downstream from Christians, but that's not Christian, right?
I can see that, sure. But that goes to my point that it did have a beginning. It came from somewhere. So would you say MGTOW and black pill, you would just outright say those are bad, those? Those
Yeah,
are
these
not
are
good
bad,
for-
but your argument,
Okay.
it
Hold on.
basically boils down
We're
to you
going-
demonizing Christianity because it created
I'm
sex
not
like
demonizing.
LDS. Maybe you could say that or anything else.
Not demonizing Christianity whatsoever.
I'm glad you don't, man. Glad you don't.
Because
Yeah.
no, actually, so it being downstream of that though, yeah, it's talking about the MGTOW, it's like it's like men are supposed to be kind of the warriors of society. In modernity, it's more of like cultural warriors. But these guys, they never take up the fight. They quit before they even try. I don't call that a warrior. I call that a glorified street urchin. So I'm glad we're on the same page as far as MGTOW goes. But that is part of MGTOW, and Red Pill is part of the Manosphere. So. It is downstream of the
Jehovah's Witness are downstream from Christians, and then LDS is downstream from Christians. So it's like now you're still reconciled. You have to reconcile that, where it's like if a thing is good, and we could say it's a matter of fact, we could say a thing is good, right? Let's just say that the red pill is good, like Christianity is good. You would then say that Jim Jones in his offshoot in the Jonestown, thing that happened with drinking the Kool-Aid literally would say, well, that was caused by Christianity because it was an offshoot. Well, we can't.
Well, no, the opposite.
Then, can we?
The opposite is true. You would have to admit Jehovah's Witnesses and Jim Jones is good.
No, I would never admit that that's good.
Well,
because
based on your own logic, you would have to, because you're saying just because it's downstream, then you're saying that it's not good, right?
No, that's not what I'm saying. So if you take something like fire, and you wouldn't inherently say fire is good or bad, right?
Of course.
Right. So it's the people who take this information, who take the fire, the thing that is neither good nor bad, they do with it what they will. You will recognize that there will be grifters in the church, grifters in the streets, grifters saying, you know what, I'm here to save you, lady, and take you off the street. The billionaire red pill guy that says, hey, I'm red pill Mo. I'm going to take her off the streets and save her. I don't want to marry her or do any of this other stuff. I'm just going to prescriptively take this person under my lens and say, you know what, I'm going to give her this lifestyle with the free agent lifestyle and everything else. Well, to me, that's not red pill, because this guy's actually taking the information and doing something else with it. Now, if he saw the information right then when he just observed the information, took in the information, that's red pill. But what he decides to do with it can be anything else. Just like I take Christianity and I say, you know what? The angel Moroni came to me and just built this whole new Bible. This is new, and there's a new prophet now and everything like that. Oh, hold on. Then we would say he's bad, but we would never say that Christianity is bad because he himself decided what to do with this data packet of Christianity, right? So
was the red pill divinely inspired by God?
No, I would never. Well, here's the thing, though. I'll even tell you this. So you're
so
actually
how can we compare the two? How can we even compare the two in the same, like use them logically?
I'll even tell you this. Christianity itself is a giant red pill about human depravity, death, judgment, and hell. Yet no Christian says don't tell young men about sin and wrath. It'll make them more depressed. Can you
we're talking about the red pill right now, though. We're not talking about
no, you actually talked about Christianity. You said, "How is this not something that's
you brought up Christianity? Right? Yeah, I brought that up, but you originally brought up Christianity to make the comparison. I'm just saying that one is divinely inspired, right. So it's kind of a false equivalence. Can't really compare the two.
But hold on. Christianity itself is a giant red pill. Would you agree with that?
I wouldn't necessarily classify as that, because that's giving the red pill way too much credit.
Hold on. It's a label. It's not like a whole like direction or a movement. It's just information. It's just a label saying the red pill. And I'll tell you what this is. The Matrix came out, and like, let's say Neo had his eyes open, and he's never had his eye open to the truth before. What I'm saying, though, when I say that the Christianity is a giant red pill, is it a giant eye-opening event for men out here?
Sure, but we're not talking about Christianity. We're talking about the red pill.
Right, but this is what I'm talking about. So when I say red pilling, I would tell you, okay, Mo got red pilled, or let's say somebody else. I'll even use the moderator, just cudgel him like I did the last time. So Speakeasy got red pilled throughout his divorce that happened through some imaginary person that never existed, because I have to pay respects to Miss Speakeasy, by the way, too. This is all imaginary, by the way. And this happened, right? He got red pilled. You'd probably say this. Would a Christian be bad for saying this? What would you take from that information? If I told you that, how would you interpret that?
Well, you're using red pill terminology in a different context. So
That's the context I'm using. That's the context that red pill is used. Is it
no,
not?
that's not the context. When I crack open a red pill book, am I gonna learn about intersexual dynamics in relationships, or am I gonna learn about random factoids about bugs or something? I'm gonna learn about the intersexual relationship with dynamics with men and women. Am I not?
Yes, you're gonna learn about this, and that's just data. Now, what you talked about is like these are the dynamics. Do you think that everything, when it comes to these dynamics and how female nature works, which actually scripture speaks about and all this other stuff, Samson, Delilah, Eve, these actions just led to the downfall of men. So it's like when the red pill talks about female nature, how would this be not divinely inspired or even an offshoot of the information?
Are you asking me if wait, clarify your question. You're asking me if it's divinely inspired?
This more concise for you. So if I was to say, I'm going to red pill Mo about Samson and Delilah and say, you need to watch out because if a woman tells you what she is the first time, you better believe her. Because if she says, hey, can you tell me the secrets to losing your power, Mo, in debate? Because I don't know, you just keep destroying these people left and right in debates. Tell me what your power is. And you keep denying this person, and I'm not going to tell you, I'm just going to misguide you and all this other stuff. But then you finally, in a drunken stupor, tell us when your power. And then Mo turns into First Amender's brother in the next debate and gets destroyed. It's like you're going to be like, okay, well, Marte was trying to red pill me and make me aware of this situation, but do you understand that this is just complementary to the Christian when we talk about the lens that we look through the world? And that's what I'm saying. So let me make this more concise, even more. When I talk about red pilling, I'm just talking about awareness of data, awareness of information. That's it. And the Bible's done this. Christians, we do this to each other. You've even told me I'm going to red pill you on like the microphone and tell you how to get your audio system better. And I was like, oh shit, he red pilled me on this. I need to learn because I'm a bumbling idiot when it comes to tech. So.
Okay, but you're making up these scenarios to try to like justify something that I'm not even arguing against, right? So let's take it back to the red pill and what it actually states. In one of my rebuttals, I was talking about hidden moral axioms inside statements. So one of the things, and this is straight from Rollo's his blogs and his books and podcasts, you say it doesn't have oughts, doesn't have these should statements, but one is desire cannot be negotiated. Women are aroused by behavioral cues. Men must be the source of confidence. The hidden moral axiom there is confidence is good. Men should be confident. So I'm not convinced that, sure, you can say some of these are just descriptors in themselves, but not all of them, and quite a few of them do have hidden moral axioms. How do you account for that?
So here's the thing, though. So even if I was to just interlace these two things, they're complementary, and I can show you how. So we're talking about our Christian, our belief system that we have. It's full of warnings about adulterous women's, and people nagging. I'd rather be in the desert than probably the roof of a quarreling wife. You would then say, well, hold on, this guy's speaking red pill to me. And it's like, it's full of warnings. And all of this is, if observing, Mo, female fallenness, it is inherently harmful. Then the Holy Spirit who inspired scripture harmed every man who ever read it. So to me, this doesn't really make sense, because it's like, if I was to tell you that female nature is bad, I'm probably telling you an aunt, according to you, by your statement. Because if I'm telling you, what you allow is what will continue with women, and you don't leave
bad
properly,
would be a moral qualifier,
bad.
moral value judgment. So yeah, you're sneaking in a moral value judgment in your statement. Yeah, that would be.
But all this is. Do you understand that this is data? If we understand what female nature is, I'm not telling you what
you can say it's
do.
data, but you still haven't contended with what I gave you.
I am contending with this, because even if
you went on a bit of a TED talk there. I'm not looking for a TED talk. I'm looking for a spine. So can you please answer the question?
You got a spine. So I'll even answer it again. I don't want to repeat myself again. So I'll kind of reframe it a little bit for your appetite in debate. So we're going to go ahead and go this route. So, okay. All right. The red pill will tell you that we are pattern recognition machines. And would you agree with this? You'd probably say, yes, we are. Christianity would say we are pattern recognition machines.
My friend Marte, no.
Same
You
thing,
can't
man.
crawl away from this.
Data,
you have
data,
to come
data.
back
Data,
and look
bro.
at it. You may not like the tune, but you have to dance, my friend. All the
I'm
same.
dancing right now.
So
I'm actually doing the two-step right now, bro.
So going back to it, can you answer how men should be confident doesn't have a hidden moral axiom in it? Can you please answer that question?
So if I'm confident, there could be confidence in good stuff or bad stuff. If we're talking about
those are moral claims.
Confident,
those are ought statements.
Hold on, it's a very slippery slope that we're going down. So I can be confident in doing sin, and I can be confident in doing good, right? That's neither good or bad. I don't think confidence is either good or bad. I think it's a means to an end.
That's not what I'm asking.
Your
claim is that it's only a data set, and I'm saying that in these data set statements, there are moral axioms and should statements hidden in there. Men must be the source of confidence. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I think that, okay, so I'll even concede that part, right? Which actually supports Christianity. Men should be confident as headship, right? Christianity supports headship. It supports a patriarchal structure. And I think confidence builds all that. So I think to some degree, you are definitely right about that. But I don't think that really counters anything that I have as far as the red pill being bad.
Well,
I
didn't say it wasn't a claim. It wasn't a claim that it's inherently bad. It's just going against the claim that it's only descriptor statements when they have moral axioms snuck into these statements.
But you do understand. You do understand that if I tell you that confidence is good, I'm not telling you that you should be confident. I'm just saying that it's good. Now, I can also make the other referendum and say confidence is bad, right? You shouldn't be confidently strolling.
Well, the statement is men should be the source of confidence, straight from Rollo. So this content. So
if he's formulating this, he can also make the opposite argument and saying you shouldn't confidently walk into a marriage being ignorant. So I think that this can also be done.
I don't think that was the context of the statement. I think that's reaching the good bit.
It's not. The knife's cutting both ways, Mo. It really does.
It really isn't. I'm just my only point in this was that your claim was, okay, you just have a data set, but I've proven that even if I drill down to these data sets, there are hidden moral axioms inside. Some of them.
That's actually not a hidden moral axiom, and I can explain why it's not. So if I tell you confidence, which is neither inherently good or bad, you decide what you want to do with this. Right? You can confidently stroll into a bank, like I said in my example, and off everybody else and take the money, or you can confidently be the patriarchal structure of their family and be a great husband, as our moderator here, doing that by example. So I would think that confidence, it just depends on what you do with this, which I'm not telling you how to be confident or what to be confident in. It's just saying that confidence is good in this arena.
When it comes to the data set of the intersexual dynamics that the red pill covers, do you think Rollo was talking about robbing banks or dating women?
So if he's saying that if you're dating women, confidence is good, people can listen to this information and say, okay, I should be confident, right? That's the person taking their own action of what to do with said confidence. They can say, you know what? He said confidence is good walking into a relationship. I'm going to refuse and say, nah, it's not good because I've used confidence robbing a bank before and it ended up bad for me. It's like saying I've had fire introduced to me before and I burnt myself and that's why I have third-degree stars. I'm not going to take this. So it's at the behest of people what to do with this data once again.
So what about this other one? Men must pursue purpose first. Mission first, women second. Hidden moral axiom there would be having a mission is morally superior. Prioritizing women over a mission is wrong. This is literally a moral hierarchy of values. How is that not the case?
There are moral axioms in this, laced into this. I would even concede that, like I did the first time, actually, a little bit if you're listening. So here's the thing, though. If we are saying that all of this stems from something good and can be good, right? To me, my whole argument isn't saying that the red pill's bad. That's my argument. And if we read the prompt, more harm than good, right? So it actually supports my whole argument of saying, okay, this is good because if we think about Christ and God and everything else that we should be beholden to, I think that this is good. But here's the thing, though. If you look at any data, even data will tell you this data is more optimal than other data. But people are going to assume this, right? It's depending on what they want to do with this information and data. Even then, if it's just plain data in numbers and digits.
Would you make the claim that are you saying having the data is awareness and that's good?
Yeah, I think awareness is good.
Awareness is good?
I think it's good. Yeah.
Okay, are you sure about that statement?
Yeah, I think awareness is definitely good. I don't think, well, it depends on what
visibility visibility is good. Awareness means something like progress, conversation, value. So basically you're saying we're talking about it, therefore it's good.
So when it comes to awareness, it depends on what the awareness is. I'm not making an overarching assumption as to what the awareness is. Mind you, I'll even go to your argument that even supports your claim. Here I am being benevolent here. Awareness of eating from the tree of knowledge, right? That was bad awareness. Now, what the red pill gives you is they give you awareness as to what to do with this. Like I said, I can look at this awareness and say, okay, this is definitely bad, but you still have to explain to me how this is bad, how getting information on female nature would be bad, or any of this would be bad.
I can explain how it can be bad and how it is bad. So you already admitted that. You already admitted that. Necessarily awareness isn't good, because then if you sidestep this, but basically if you were to make that claim, then you would have to say, okay, well, terrorism raises awareness, that must be good. That's obviously nonsense. So in order to qualify if something is good or bad from bringing awareness to it, we have to measure the harm and the results that come from it. Would you agree with that?
Well, I mean, in the red pill community, I think with data, you're going to have data that you're going to be confident in. You're going to want to look at the stats. You're going to want to look at outcomes. Hence, matter of fact, I'll bring up my debate from last night. If you look at 9% divorce rates in the Christian, I would say orthodoxy, where, people are more benevolent, stay in marriages, a patriarchal structure, I would say that that's a red pill data point for everybody else to follow, and they subscribe to this. So you can even see the directional analysis after looking at this. People would say, okay, for the red pill community, which I did, I'd say, here's a direction where we have successful marriages. I just red pilled a bunch of people in the audience. So I don't think that that's bad. I think that in me, I'm not even telling them what to do. I'm just saying there's only a 9% divorce rate in here where this is successful, and I'm showing that this is practical in society. I'm not telling them what to do. I'm just saying this is the information. Do with it what you will. Okay,
but even going back to just being a date, let's just say, for the sake of this example, it is just this data packet, right? But even if you have just a data packet, there's something that's going to come from that. There's something that otherwise, why give it? There's some inherent value of showing this thing, right? So men can take it into consideration. If going back to my example, if I crack open a red pill book, I'm not going to find random, factoids about bugs and stuff, right? There's a reason why it centers around dating environment and men and how they navigate it. So men are going to take this and they're going to do something with it. They're going to turn an is into an ought. Would you agree?
And I love that you brought this up. So here's the thing that I was saying in my opening statement. Red pill is complementary with Christianity, and I'll give you a quick example. I'm not going to be too long on this subject because I don't want to bore the audience.
Some of it is. I would agree.
So here's the thing, though. If I was to tell my Orthodox priest and I was to say, hey, this dating market is crazy out here, what's your advice for me? Granted, he hasn't been on the dating market in probably years, right? Knowing that there's extreme filters out there, there are women that are trying to get free dates and free dinners and all this other stuff. He's going to be like, you know what? Just use your discernment and, just know that you have to trust Christ and all this. I would agree with that, actually. And I think that there's a hierarchy. When we talk about a hierarchy of needs, there's Christianity. Red pill is down here somewhere. I'm going to say that. But the whole argument isn't the hierarchy of which order or whatever. It's just saying that it harms more men than helps men. My argument is saying that it helps men because what the red pill would do is it would fill in the gaps, because I think that there are a lot of priests out there that would say, well, damn, I don't know what the dating market is like, but good luck. You need to use discernment and use everything that we taught you. What the red pill does is it fills in these gaps and say, bro, that's AI right there. This is not good because this is a new way they're gaming men. I don't think that people would be caught up to this. And the red pill is just a data packet of catching people up to complement Christianity. It helps out a lot.
Well, I would partly agree with you that we do see, and I'm going to piss a lot of people off for this, but I do think you see a lot of, in the Protestant type faiths, a lot of it has been infiltrated by feminism to a large degree. So if people are going to priest of that nature, it would be quite the disadvantage, because they're going to just reiterate feminist talking points to them, and that's not going to help men. But I think when you look at traditional Christianity, and especially men in the church who are of good moral fiber and exude masculine traits, they would be more someone you could look to for guidance on these types of situations. But going
real quick, speakeasy, you're not hearing a lot of static on my end, or hail or rain or anything?
Sounds like a storm. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Yeah, I was having one. I couldn't even hear you talk a little bit, but it's background noise. So I heard half of what you said, Mo, just to tell you.
Oh, I just to restate it.
Yeah.
Basically, I was saying that in a lot of Protestant type faiths, you do see it infiltrated by feminism. So if they were going to a priest of that nature, they would definitely get a lot of the feminist talking points that would put men on a worse path. But if you look at more traditional Christianity and go to the older men of those Christianity, you would get more reliable information, men who exude virtue and real masculinity. That would be a better source. And once again, I'm not saying that red pill is wrong. I'm saying that the results of men taking that data packet and running with it, and we've seen this over and over again. This is where things like spinning plates come from. This is where sexual variety comes from. All these different things, you can't deny that these things came from the red pill, even if the red pill claims to just be a data packet.
So here's the thing, though. In my opening, I talked about how it isn't about spinning plates or cynics or being bitter as men. So here's the thing, though. When you say things like, the I would say more traditional churches are more caught up to date on certain things. No, I would say that that would actually be the opposite to some degree, because we don't conform to the world, right? We don't do that at all. We're an unchanging standard, matter of fact. Not only this, but because of this, some people can kind of be behind the times when it comes to sleuthy feminism weaving its way in certain segments of like the digital realm, right? So if we think about this, it's
hold on. You're contradicting yourself a little bit.
Going to tell me, hey, she's doing this, and this is one thing that she's doing that's a new thing that just came out. Red pill's just caught up data that the church would actually support if you brought it to the church.
You're contradicting yourself a little bit, though, there, because you're
I'd
saying
love to
the
hear
church is your church isn't necessarily caught up to date. The church has been caught up to date ever since it was established in the first century. You even quoted scriptures that clearly paint the what the current market is and how the states of men and women are with men in their I guess their increased sex drive and women in their state and what they should be. So. I would argue that maybe they don't have all the language, but a lot of the pieces are there.
So the problem with with modernity is we're going to get into a sticky situation where it's like, that's what I mean. Two things can be true. And that's the same for what I was just saying right now. So if we're talking about red pill, something that's existed since the dawn of time, which is like awareness of Samson, Delilah, Eve, and all this other stuff, these warning cautionary tales that we've been told the whole time. What you're talking about is we're making a distinction in language, right? And that's all we're talking about is like this distinction. Now, I think that it's important and imperative men to understand that these things can wear different costumes now. Whereas like it's the same thing. Just understand that when I say not caught up to date, I'm talking about caught up to date as far as like the disguises and the sleuth and treachery that happens nowadays on the digital spectrum, or even in the dating market, as far as like people planning certain things, and the way that women move nowadays may be different. It's the same in some semblances, because I'll even agree with you on that, because two things can be true. Like I said, now women are using a new device as far as like digital spectrum, AI, filters, everything else. Matter of fact, Marquisha could be Marquand. You don't even know this until you find out that your brother cued you in to say that, oh, gay, this guy's got a donger. And it's like, hey, I would have never known this unless my boy red pilled me, because you could see the mirror reflection in the AI or whatever. Maybe he's astute and knows this, where my priest would have been like, yo, just watch out for it, bro. Like, they're both right. So I don't think I've heard an argument for why red pill wrong.
Okay, well, let me ask you this.
Harms man, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah, let me ask you this. If you have, let's say, a group of 1,000 men, and you have another group of another 1,000 men, and the first group engages in casual sex and, you know, just plate spinning, whatever you want to call it, which group do you think is going to have more babies? Yeah, the group doesn't.
So my argument, because you're making this dichotomy, my argument is that red pill complements Christianity, because it doesn't. It can't.
This isn't about this. I'm just asking a simple question: which one would have more babies?
Okay, reword your question again. Sorry about that.
You have one group, 1,000 men that engage in casual sex. Another group that doesn't. Clearly, the first group's going to have more babies, just out of the rationality. Correct?
The group that engages in casual sex is obviously going to have more babies. Yeah,
exactly. Obviously. Okay. So when you have that situation, we can look at data referencing U.S. government sources that 90% of homelessness is from single mother homes. This Department of Health and Human Services and Bureau of Census, it's worth noting that it's 32 times the average rate of children with two-parent homes. It's also worth noting that when this data set was collected, two-parent homes in this historical database refers to children living with both parents, which at that time was overwhelmingly married heterosexual couples. So we know that fatherless homes is one of the largest contributors to homelessness. But it gets worse than that. When you look at homeless people in general, their unaliving rates are astronomical. They're up to 10 times higher than the general population. On top of that, men die by unaliving 3 to 4 times the rate of women. So if men follow the strategy of sexual variety and all these other things that are descriptive, how is that going to reduce the number of children born to single mothers?
So I noticed what you just did there was really sneaky. You said follow the variety of descriptors. You inserted a prescriptor in a descriptor. So if we just leave it as a descriptor, you're not going to have a prescriptor. So let's separate the two and create the distinction right now.
Well, hold on. So, do people who subscribe to the red pill not spin plates?
So if people take a data packet and they say, I'm going to decide to spin plates when the data packet didn't tell them that's what you should do. Yeah, people do this.
To measure harm, we have to look at the outcome, do we not? Marxism had a lot of things it recognized as being wrong, but its answers was catastrophic. So we have to look at what happens over a course of time. You can't just look at, oh, there's this data packet and then not evaluate any further than that. You have to look at what the results are from it to measure harm.
So if you look at Marxism on its base, right, you would then have to look at the people who followed a prescriptive lens off of this, you know, just like the red pill. We're going to go back to the red pill. So if I get this information in the data packet and I don't follow the data packet, but I take the data packet and I run to my priest, my church, and say, hey, these are the new stats that's going on right now. How can I reconcile this? And then what he'll do is complement this with orthodoxy and say, knowing this data right now, this is how scripture tells you to move. How would I be wrong? Because that's where I'm saying this whole debate.
Well, you didn't answer my question. You're asking another question. How?
Yeah, of course, I'll answer that.
Do men who follow the red pill spin plates?
Yeah, if they're using a prescription, which I would say the red pill doesn't say you need to spin plates. This would be like an offshoot. Yeah, that would be bad, and also that wouldn't be red pill of them to do so. Yeah.
It would. I mean, they're using the data points in order to say, okay, well, this is what I need to do. I need to be confident. I need to spin plates. I need to. This is the prescriptures that come from the description of red pill.
No,
you can't you can't separate those two. You can, because
you can
just have like, if you have just the data point, if the data point didn't exist, then these tactics wouldn't exist.
The red pill has always existed. Like I said, Christianity is one big red pill. So if you have information and data that's existed since the dawn of time, you would then say,
was Andrew Tate hanging out with the disciples, man? Was he back there chilling with them? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Come on.
What are you talking about? The disciples chilling with who? Like,
I said, it was Andrew Tate hanging out and chilling with the disciples. Red pill didn't exist back then. You're making this.
I don't know what that has to do with what we're talking about right now.
You just said that the red pill is, Christianity is red pill. I'm talking about the current.
Yeah, it's a giant red pill. That's not the. So you what you just did was you're
talking about something completely different. You're talking about.
You're talking about something completely different.
No, you're using a terminology for. You're saying, well, this thing is red pill, but we're talking about red pill as it exists today in its current situation.
Right. Can you tell me?
You have descriptors. I just did. You have descriptors, and then men take those descriptors and they get some of them. We just went over, and you even conceded that there are hidden moral axioms in some of the descriptors. But we'll put that aside. Some men take the descriptors and they take the should statements and they run with it, and that's what a lot of podcasts and books are about. So, if you have men who are participating in the red pill and they're spinning plates, how is that going to reduce? How is that not going to cause more harm in the long run?
So this is the whole gun argument that you're making right now. A gun is neither good nor bad. If I take a gun and I have to make a decision with this, there are gun books everywhere. It'll tell you how to use it, how to aim, how to be better at taking this gun and then using it in certain situations. Now, what the person does with this determines whether or not they're prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law or not, or whether or not they can save lives or take lives from this gun that they use. And that's the same argument that you're making. Your argument would be concise, saying that, hey, we should just outlaw guns and just say 2A because this is bad, because some people make bad decisions with this gun that we're taking. So if you take this data packet, because some people decide to, add a prescription on there that isn't involved in these stats of saying that the divorce rate is super high, and I decided
let's go with that hypothetical. Let's go with the hypothetical. Let's say you have a group of gun enthusiasts, and they have a bunch of descriptors, and they get together, and they're all, chummy, they got their brotherhood, and that group turns into, hey, we decided that shooting people is great, and we're just going to do that. And they all start shooting people. Would you say that group is, that's bad? I mean, you would link it to that group, right?
So when you add the human element to it changes things distinctly. It's like taking weed. Weed is a natural product.
We're talking about the human element. We're talking about men. We're talking about men. They're human, aren't they?
No, this is the same thing. I'm giving you
a human
example. So this is the same thing. So if you add men to the equation of guns, it changes the dynamic completely. A book is just a book, right? When read with men, and they could say what we're going to do. Now, if you add people to the equation of just the gun by itself doesn't do any harm, now you can have these men, they can do the opposite. Or understand what I said before, this knife cuts both ways. If this said group can then decide to be a group for justice, and they all pass the state board and put on badges, then this would be the argument the other way. All this is pointing to the gun is just
we should let the group of people who decide to shoot people, we should just say, oh, well, that's not their fault. Their group isn't at fault, just because they're tenants and things. They're just listing descriptors. It just so happens that all of these men in this group start shooting people. I'm sure it's completely unrelated. Just like, all the red pills guys are spinning plates and
we have a massive group. And here's a massive group in the nation. We have DEA agents. We have Homeland Security, very familiar with law enforcement. I was in there. Massive group with guns. You would never demonize them for using their power that they have with this gun that they have. And you would never say, we need to take this off the table because
the hypothetical
abusing this gun that they have, which would be the opposite of the law, right?
Can you answer my question, though? Does, as a whole, the red pill community, do they subscribe to these these tenets of spinning plates and sexual marketplace, do they not partake in those things?
Are you talking about a bunch of degenerate men as a nation that may not subscribe to like Orthodox Christianity and stuff like that, that take information to misuse it? Yeah, that can happen. I would agree. Yeah.
I would say it does happen. Does it not?
Yeah, this can happen when people take information.
Can or
does?
Yeah. Can or does?
Yeah, it can happen, and it does happen. Yeah, when they misuse the information. Yeah.
Okay.
But
okay,
hold
great.
on. Here's the other side of the argument. Would you also agree that people take this information and actually use it for good? And does it complement Christianity?
I would, with a qualifier, I would say just because you have a portion of something that is good and they use it for good doesn't mean that I would say the overwhelming majority of men who follow the red pill don't take that approach. Because do you think the overwhelming majority of men are Christians?
So we are, I would say the highest community that we have in the nation we're more of a Christian nation than an Islam nation or anything
that
else.
wasn't my question. Is the highest majority of men who partake in the red pill Christians? Your standard of Christians?
My standard of Christians?
Yeah.
I would say so here's the thing that we're going to get into, and I need to create a distinction before we even walk down this path. I know what you're doing right now.
Give me the answer and then give me the qualifier. Give me the answer and then the qualifier.
I get what you're saying, but let me at least kind of contend with the argument that you're making right now.
Just give me the answer and then give me the qualifier. I'm going to let you talk.
I'm going to answer this concisely, right? Yeah, I'm going to be very concise about this debate. So here's the thing, though. When it comes to red pill, I think that you're going to have what you're saying, and I'll agree with you. A lot of people are mostly going to abuse this that aren't Christian, that are going to take this information and use this. However, I would argue that the other side that are Christians, maybe the few people that do use this and add Christianity, are going to be amazing husbands, good fathers, good boyfriends, and fiancés and things like this, and produce a flourishing society with that.
Okay, so we established that the majority of them are not
all we
Christians
said is that two things can be true. That's all you said now.
And that does not do anything to reduce the state of fatherless homes. So I don't see how you get around this. This clearly is going to lead to more fatherless homes, more plate spinning, more degenerate actions. This is ultimately bad for men. You would agree that men shape society, right?
This is the whole gun argument still, because you're saying ultimately
I'm asking you, do men shape society?
People using guns for bad than good? This is the argument you're making right now. And I'm just like, well, yeah, I would agree that there's a lot of bad people using this, but should we cancel guns or should we demonize guns because of, let's say the majority of the nation is using guns for bad and we have a prevalent law enforcement that's trying to combat this somehow. Would you demonize guns?
I wouldn't demonize guns, but if there was a group, going back to my example, that took on the mantra of shooting people is good, I would go after that group. And that's the example it's a false dichotomy what you're playing out here. It's not the same thing.
I'm saying that this knife cuts both ways, because on the other spectrum,
I've already said that. I've already granted in this hypothetical that you could have a state of descriptors that are good, but if we already admitted that overwhelming majority of men who are using it for degenerate ways, and they're not Christians to your standards. So overwhelmingly, it's going to cause more harm than good in the long run.
Well, hold on. So this is also not a good argument, and I can tell you why. We would say that Christianity in the West has been demonized, infiltrated by feminism, and misused by everybody else. This data packet, which is a biblical standard that we have, traditions, and all this, right? Sacraments have been left to the wayside. People no longer practice any of that.
Would now all of a sudden, we have Jehovah's Witness.
But hold on real quick. We have all of this, and people are taking this and manipulate it and making it their own sects and things like this. Would you say that Christianity is bad because of all these decisions people decided to have with the schism that happened? Because the schism happened in the red pill as well, too.
I wouldn't call that Christians.
Right. So I wouldn't call those red pill people. I wouldn't call them red pill at all, for sure.
But you already admitted that the overwhelming majority of men are secular in nature that are using red pill. They're not your version of Christians. So if that's the case, if that's the case, then that's the whole debate right there. It's going to cause more harm than good in the long run.
No, I wouldn't.
I don't
say that.
I don't have to prove that, oh, just because a small fraction
No, I wouldn't
of
say
the
that,
red pill is good because Christians of your standard use it correctly. I only have to prove that the overwhelming majority of men, which you already admitted, will use it for degenerate ways, and in the long run, it will cause more harm than good. And we just
No.
proved that. And you just
I haven't
conceded
even that you haven't even proved that, and I can tell you why you haven't proven that. Let me go ahead and
Okay,
demonstrate.
so
right now.
let's go back to
So
the
if
question.
we
Are
think
the
about-
overwhelming majority of men
if
who
we think
subscribe to
about
the red
true
pill and use
Christianity-
degenerate, are the overwhelming majority of men who use the red pill, are they your version of Christians? Let's go back to that question.
So, okay, if everybody uses the red pill and adds no prescription onto the red pill and just uses it as a descriptive,
Not my question.
do you think that this is bad?
No, don't ask me a question
For
with
the
another
majority
question.
of
Don't answer a
people,
question with another
okay, I'll
question,
even answer
Marte.
that.
Come.
Okay, I won't
on.
ask you a question. I'll answer it. So, if the majority of people have a data packet of information, I don't think that that's going to harm people. What's going to harm people is something that's not the red pill. This would be selfish desire, lack of discipline, and everything else that they have in lack of development, which the church also provides. So my prescription is saying absent Christianity, I think society in general, even absent the red pill, is bad. But I don't think red pill is causing more harm than good. You're basically saying awareness causes more harm than good. So I think that lack of red pill
you have to
causes
judge
more
what
harm than
happens
good.
from the awareness and what the people overwhelmingly are doing with it.
No, that's
And
not true. Lack of
you
awareness
don't?
causes more harm than good. Ignorance is not bliss, Mo.
I
I'll
didn't
have
say
you
that.
believe it.
I didn't say that. I said to judge
No,
harm.
I'm just letting you know something
have,
you didn't say.
have
I'm telling
to
you because the
to
lack of
judge
awareness
harm.
is bad,
You have
man.
to look at the long repercussions of it. And you kind of just skirted the question again, though. Earlier, you did say that the overwhelming majority of red pills. People who subscribe to it are not Christians of your caliber. So that means
They're not, but it's
that
not the red pill.
they're going
it's not
to
data.
they're going
It's not
to
the data that's
use it,
making
and
people
they're
bad.
going to do what we see: spin plates, all this other stuff. So that is causing harm. We just showed it with data and
That's
homelessness.
false. I can
That's
demonstrate.
false.
this again in
Okay,
a different way,
so the
Mo.
majority of men who use the red pill are your version of Christians. Then
So hold on. So we're getting into this dichotomy that
can
you're
we
presenting right now.
answer? That's a very simple question.
I'm answering the
earlier.
question. Can I finish answering it?
Go ahead.
Okay, this is my answer to the question. So if you're getting data, but massive people are misusing the data, however, the data doesn't tell you how to use it or what to do with this, for the most massive majority of what you would call red pill data points isn't telling you. Matter of fact, if I then told a bunch of people, I'll answer this instead of answering this. If I then told a bunch of people that being a harlot is bad, having a high sex count and body count is bad, and all this, everything that the church basically agrees with, and then I not only tell them this, but it tells you to level yourself up as a man, level your fitness up, become more confident in certain things, meaning like these are descriptors. It is descriptively accurate that me as being a confident person will enhance a relationship. Now, whether or not I should do this or whatever is neither here nor there. It's just saying what is. It's making it is claim, not an ought claim. You make the ought claim up yourself. So that means that the data isn't bad. What's bad is that when you have mankind, I would say probably cave into their own nature, and that's where you add the men to the guns and men to everything else that make the guns bad. It's not the guns bad. It's what people do with the guns that makes it bad. And that's your argument, is saying, well, the majority of people, the reason why they decide if the massive majority of the United States is bad and they use the information that's neither good nor bad, it makes the information bad. That's a faulty argument.
Okay, so answer me this, Marte. How do we judge harm? By intent or outcome?
Oh, I actually like this. That's a really good, question. So I would say that we judge harm by, I would say, referring to the ecclesiastical church for sure. The red pill is
you would use that as a base to judge the outcome, would you not?
Well, I'm not one of these people that is just dependent on outcomes. I don't function like that. And I don't think the red pill would say, well, these outcomes are really bad. You should do this or you shouldn't do that.
So Marxism it was kind of okay because, not all the outcomes are like, how do you not judge harm from outcome?
fire burns people. It can have a bad outcome or good outcome. It depends on what you do with this. So you have to be the same question you asked me.
No. You can have all the good intent in the world, but if the outcome in the long run is bad for men, you have to judge it on the outcome.
Yeah,
I didn't intend to push that guy off the bridge. It just was kind of an accident. And he was, well, the outcome, he still died, didn't he?
The outcome of guns saves lives and also murders lives. So it's like, yeah, the gun's not the problem.
Right. Okay. Let's use that example. So you have someone who uses a gun, right? Uses a gun to defend themselves or whatever. And then you look at the state of it. He claims self-defense, but he shot the guy 5 times in the back when he wasn't even approaching him. The outcome, you have to judge the outcome and see if it has harm. I don't think you can get around this. I know you're trying to skirt around. I'm getting around
this right now. So what you're talking about, let's separate this and create a distinction, because this isn't exactly attached to that, right? We can say that if a court case happened and then I ended up in court and they're like saying, Marte, you slept with 500 women and that's outlawed in the state, you're going under. And I said, but judge, the red pill somehow told me to do this, but then they look through the tenets and the red pill doesn't tell me that I should bang 500 people. I would never be like using that as an excuse. That would never be a scapegoat for me to use. They would never say, well, this guy was told by this. You'd never see that. Or you would just see descriptors saying, you know what, men with more experience with women tend to have better outcomes, this and that, or whatever. To me, it's like, if I take this data, it's like, it's not going to determine the outcome of how I end up in court. What I think it's going to do is just going to inform me it's my own decision that's bad, not the red pill. It's what I do with it. So you're at the behest of your own question.
So then, but if you had a group of men who, let's just say it's not the red pill, it's just something else, some other list, and they all subscribed to it, and they ended up in court for murder charges, you would say, okay, well, no matter what this list intent was, the outcome is producing a lot of murder.
So I like your question. Really good question. We can tangle with this question. So here's the thing, though. If the outcome is more so, it's not what the person okay, I'll ask you another question, even though I don't want to do this. With your question, what is the person doing? Like where are they getting this information from that you're talking about in the outcome?
Let's just say it's a list of like Jim Bob's 10 rules for life, and every time there's like multiple cases, hundreds of men end up in court because they followed this rule, and no matter if the rule doesn't explicitly say, hey, you should murder people, they're still murdering people. Like, you would look at the outcome and the harm.
So if they looked at this rule and the rule doesn't say Jim should do this or Jim needs to do this, the rule just says women by nature need to be led by a strong, masculine, assertive, confident person. They're then going to be like, oh, this is bad. Well, no, it's not the rules that are bad, or actually you're saying rules. Let's change it to descriptors, because that's really what they are. Let's be honest here. It's not the descriptors that are bad. It's a bunch of men in their nature falling prey to their own flesh, their own sin, their own desires, things like this. That's really inherently bad. And I think that when you take people and you tell them to make prescriptions out of descriptions, I think that's inherently bad. You would agree with that, right? I think you would. But I think that they wouldn't outlaw this list because they'd be like, well, they dissect it. Lawyers would delve over the information. They'd be like, well, this isn't bad.
We're not talking about outlawing a list or anything. We're just saying that my question was simple. Do you judge harm based on intent or outcome? And if we look at the outcome of the red pill and the men who subscribe to it, we can see it's clear what they follow and what they do. You can't get away from this. You can say all day you want, like, well, if you use it in this way and if you have the right Christian background, well, then it's good. That's fantastic. But overwhelmingly, men use it a certain way, and you can't get away from that.
Yeah, but Mo. This doesn't make any sense, because women are bad because they exist. And because women exist, the reason why they're bad is because men make a lot of...
Disavow.
No, hold on. Because, no, don't even disavow this. Don't try
disavow. I can't go with you down this plane. Whoa.
No, hold on. Women are bad because they exist. And the reason why they're bad is because they're OnlyFans people and they make really bad decisions and this and that because they don't have headship or leadership. So we would say that they're bad. Is the majority of Americans women Christian or they're liberal? If you take men off the map, the whole map would be blue and everybody would vote liberal. So your argument boils down to, okay, all women are bad because we would say say, would you say ontologically they're bad? You would even disagree, and you say, no, it's not women that are bad. It's what leadership they are beholden to if they follow Christ or anything else. But I wouldn't say women are ontologically evil or bad. You would even agree with me. So it's like, that's what your argument sounds like right now. It's like, we can't demonize women because the majority of women in the nation are just making their own decisions and doing something bad. You know, it's like, it's just a really faulty argument.
I mean, you went on this extra, I don't know where you're going with this, talking about, you know, women and ontologically. My argument is very simple,
at least
right?
angle with that at least?
Like, I don't even know where to begin with that because it's not related to what we're talking about. My argument isn't about any of that. It's very simple.
Women. I don't think they're bad, right?
You can't judge, you have to judge the outcome, not the intent. That's what my point
the
is.
outcome of women, they're having the most ABs in the nation, deleting babies. They're voting liberal. The whole nation would turn blue. So that's a massive outcome that's happening right now. Women are doing this. Actually, it's the majority. Women bad, right?
No,
really
feminism bad.
Oh, they're not bad.
Feminism bad.
Oh, wait, hold on. But the majority of them are feminists, right? That means women bad, right?
I never said men were bad. What are you talking about?
No, feminists bad, right? Women bad, right?
I know, but you're making the correlation here. I never claimed that men were bad.
I'm not saying men, I'm saying women bad.
I know, but that would be the inverse of what you're saying. Like, I'm not making the claim that I'm saying that overwhelmingly the men who follow the red pill, you can't deny this. I don't know why you're trying to skirt the issue. They do follow a certain rule set that says they should be, you know, high status, they should be confident, they should spin plates, all this other stuff. You shouldn't get tied down to in a marriage, or at least delay it.
Can I ask you a question? Let's nip this in the bud right now. Do you believe that people without direction will fall prey to their own desires and self-destruct?
I would say yes, but it depends on the direction you're giving them. Because if you give them bad direction, then it'd be a worse outcome. Right.
Bad direction, right? Now, if I tell you data or information and I say, hey, this is, what the percentage of outcomes that happen with hypergamy with women, right? And I tell you that this is an outcome that happens. Am I responsible for what you do with this information? And does it make it bad?
Wait, rephrase that question again. Sorry.
If I tell you that the majority of women in this nation are hypergamous in nature, end up deleting babies in mass, and that way, and I'm saying that that's what is happening, but I'm not giving you an ought, and I'm saying that you need to be confident when you walk in here and not ignorant. Is that bad? Would that make men bad? If I just, those three things that I just gave you, would that make what I just gave you inherently bad?
The data set itself is, I would say, no, that's not inherently bad. But you would also have to look at the outcome of what men do with it.
But hold on, so see what you did? You just tied this to this. So that way you could say that, okay, Christianity bad because Jehovah's Witness, LDS, it's all the same thing. Women bad. This is what Mo's saying right now. Women bad.
Are Jehovah's Witnesses Trinitarian? Or Jehovah's Witnesses Trinitarian?
I would say that they're not even, Christians.
The answer is no. The answer is no. They're not Trinitarian. So
no, but what do they identify as?
But they don't even follow
they identify as Christians, right?
The core tenets of Christianity.
Right, but they still identify as Christians, even though they're not. Can you agree to that they identify as Christians?
You're proving my point.
No. Actually, this proves my point.
No, you're proving my point because my whole point is what people do with the data set. So yeah, you could say Jehovah's Witnesses is bad.
Yeah, they would say that, well, if it's bad, it came from Christianity, so that's how we ended up here. That's the same argument you're making. It's like saying
it didn't come from Christianity.
It's like saying red pill endorses MGTOW, red pill endorses black pill, which
Jehovah's Witnesses didn't come from Trinitarian Christians, so that's not even a good example.
Right, but you'll never see Christianity endorse non-Trinitarian churches, but the non-Trinitarian churches would say we're endorsed by them and we identify as such. Would you not agree with that?
Wait, say that again? You would say what now?
So the Trinitarian churches would say we don't endorse Jehovah's Witness or LDS, but LDS would say, no, we're Christian. We're endorsed by all Christianity here. We're Christians. We identify as such. Would you not agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, sure, you could. Yeah, that's fine. I don't understand.
Okay,
But
so
that doesn't
therefore you
go
have like
against my
black
point.
pill, big tau, and things like that. They would easily identify and say, "Oh, I'm red pill Jason, and I'm red pill this and that." They're not red pill, meaning like we don't follow we don't look at a descriptive packet and then use this to complement Christianity or anything else. Let me just ask you a real quick question because we're winding down the time right now. Let's just hit the nail on the head and just get this over with. Peel the Band-Aid off. Would you agree with me that Christians who took this data and went to their spiritual father and said, "This is the data that I've received. Is there any way that we can reconcile this and make this work for the greater good?" And the pastor says, "You know what? Now that I have this new information, this is what scripture's telling you to do with that information." Would that be bad?
Once again, you're very precise, small sample size. No, that would not be bad, but that's not what I'm arguing.
Right. So I'm arguing that these data sets and data packets are just a gun. And what you're saying is that the majority of Americans are using this gun for evil. And I would actually agree to some extent by saying this, but it's not the gun that's causing harm. It's the man's actions that's causing harms in what they do with this, their own personal desire. You're blaming the gun when it's really the man we should be blaming. You're blaming the red pill when really it's the man deciding what to do with the outcome of the information. That's really the blame.
No, not at all. Not at all. In my opener, I listed that descriptor I would say the red pill got it right. But once again, you cannot judge harm over intent. You have to judge what comes of it. And
those are two separate things, right? One isn't they're not mutually exclusive.
You still have to judge it based on the long-term effects of the men following it, which they are secular. They're not the Christians that you subscribe to. So you have to look at that harm and what that's going to cause over time. You can't get away from that.
Yeah, guns caused a lot of ilk in the nation, and it's caused a lot of dissension when we come to certain things, but we're not going to demonize guns. What people decided to do with this is bad. It's their decisions. It's man that's bad. It's not guns that are bad. You're demonizing the red pill data packet when really it's not the packet that's causing harm. It's actually men's direction, their prescriptions that they're putting on top of this that's bad.
I'm not demonizing the red pill data packet. I'm saying that the outcome of the men who follow the red pill data packet has prescriptions, and those prescriptions are dog shit.
No, I disagree with that, and I reject that premise. Also,
you don't.
The reason I don't think think it's dog shit because I can take this.
You don't think the prescriptions are dog shit?
I could take this to my spiritual father. He can reconcile this, and I can go to the nation. Hence, it's not the data packet. It's what
the prescriptions are good. All the prescriptions are good. Is that what you're saying?
What are you saying? You're saying all the prescriptions are good? I'm not making that claim. That's not my claim.
Okay.
I've never made that.
Sound like you said.
What I'm saying is I can take this data, go to my spiritual father and say, "This is the information. These are the new stats right now. What can I do with this?" It's not the data that's bad. That's not what's harming men. It's their lack of going to a spiritual father or taking this information and finding guidance alongside this. What they're doing is they're taking something that's inert. I would say this is inert unless you do something with this. It's not really bad.
And,
it's what you
okay,
do
then answer me this. Is the majority of the red pill community doing that, Marte?
Yeah, let's say that all the red pill community didn't do this, right? Let's just say they didn't do this. And I'll even grant this, right? It still wouldn't be the red pill that's bad. It's just a lot of people adding.
You're arguing against something I'm not even saying. You're arguing against something I'm not even saying.
The red pill. This is separate.
I'm not claiming that the descriptors are inherently bad. I'm saying you have to look at the outcome. Once again, intent versus outcome.
No, I also reject that as well too. Because what you're talking, we have to create a distinction. What people do with this can be bad, right? We can say that can be bad, but it doesn't inherently mean thing bad. It doesn't mean information data bad. It doesn't. That's not what causes the thing bad. You would have to, so you'll agree with me on this. Would you agree that sin is inherently all of us being born into this in this world? Would you agree with that?
I would say sin is inherent, yes.
Right. Sin is inherent. So it's like if most men are inherent with sin, that would be a very problematic thing, regardless of what information and data we have, because that can lead us astray more than a red pill data packet of like what is. It is true that when women sleep around, they're most likely to divorce, all this other stuff, but it's not that information that's going to lead you astray. It's just us following something else that isn't red pill and adding on top of it.
Well, we're winding down here. I'll just mention that I think I've made all my points clear. But one thing that I did play around with is, and I didn't do it, but it would have been fun to take your video of the marriage dilemma and then quote back to you the 20 things in there, and how basically majority of those things are on my side and what I agree with. But
Yeah, unfortunately,
I decided to be graceful debater. I am malevolent. I'm very generous.
Yeah, you're very benevolent, man. This is good, man. You know what? This is actually kind of a refresher compared to what I'm used. I'm so exhausted from the black fatigue right now. Sorry, I'm recovering from that actively. So I appreciate your white eraser to the black fatigue. I don't know if I can even say that. Right. Probably pissing a lot of people off right now. Black card revoked indefinitely.
No, I enjoyed this. This was great. I enjoyed.
That's good.
It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. Actually, this was a really good one. And again, it's always great when I don't have to do much. Right? Both sides did great here. So with this chat, we are gonna wrap up the open floor part there. Again, massive respect. Both debaters holding their ground, keeping this sharp all the way through here. We're going to head into the closing statements. All right. Each debater is going to have 5 minutes, make their final case, leave their last words with you, the audience. And while they're giving their closers, this is your chance. Start dropping your questions for the upcoming Q&A segment. Again, it'll only be 30 minutes. And if the super chats and cash apps, all that, if they fill up the 30 minutes, we won't get to those other questions. So if you want to make sure it gets answered, send in a super chat. And with that said, we're going to move into the closing statements here. Mo, you are going to go first because you had a first word with opening. So that's going to give Marte the last word. So whenever you're ready, again, thank you both for being here tonight. And whenever you're ready, I'll start the timer up with your voice.
Yeah, well, once again, thank you, Easy and crew, for putting this together. I really appreciate it. Thanks for Marte for being a great debate opponent. Just to kind of research some things and go over some of the stuff we talked about. The topic tonight was whether the red pill manosphere causes more harm than good. I think after everything we discussed, I've made my points, and that remains undeniably true. We talked about the homelessness issues. We talked about, men just being degenerate and spinning plates, not really actually settling down and building a society worth inheriting. It's a situation where you have to look at the outcome, not the intent. I've already said I agree with that. The red pill in itself, this list of things it goes over, those aren't inherently bad. In fact, I agree with many of them, if not all of them. The point is, though, you have to look at the long-term effects. You cannot measure harm based on just a snapshot at the beginning. You have to look at what it's going to happen after the fact. My opponent already conceded the MGTOW and black pill is toxic, and he thinks that's worse for men. That's part of the manosphere. So really, you just have to ask yourself some questions to the audience. Does the red pill / manosphere, does it build husbands and fathers? Does it make men happier for society? Does it produce real leaders? When men follow it, does it lead them to happier, fulfilling lives? I think the answer is clearly no. But that's basically all I have to say, and I'll concede the rest of my time.
All righty. Thank you for that closing, Mo. And with that, we're going to hand the mic over to Marte for your closing statement. Whenever you're ready, Marte, I will start the timer up with your voice.
I appreciate you allowing me to speak on your platform, Speakeasy. Also, hello to the Mrs. Very based marriage going on here. By the way, I'll even present that. We need more traditional marriages, and I actually support that as well too. I am taking on a position that's a devil's advocate position. I don't call myself red pill at all. Let's get this straight. I'm an Orthodox Christian who doesn't lead with orthodoxy in debates. I just like common sense principles and traditional families, hence me mentioning the moderator's name. Now to my opponent, Mo, I appreciate you meeting me on fierce grounds of dueling. I like this. I think that this was a really good debate. I think this was also informative discussion for both of our parts. I think that we may have learned something from one another. Now let's get to the debate and my response as a rebuttal, pun intended. Here's the thing, though, is that his argument never really conceded, it never really, I would say, rebutted anything that I said as far as my points of saying red pill bad, more bad for society. And here's why. So we can agree prescriptively that there are a lot of deaths that happen in America because of guns. You would say, have guns ever given life to anybody? Well, maybe it's saved some lives, but it's taken more lives off than anything else. Well, you would never, as a nation, blame the gun for all these deaths that have happened and say guns bad, wipe them off the map. You would then say, no, we need to craft laws around this. We need to give a prescription for these guns that doesn't exist when gun culture. That's why we have laws, things like this built around this as safeguards. They insert Christianity, which I brought into the chat. And now that we're talking about this, all I'm talking about is a gun. And his argument boils down to this. Because of outcomes, guns are bad, right? Let's outlaw this. Because of outcomes, women are bad because ABs, baby deletion, everything else like this, left to their own devices. We can go on a plethora of examples of how thing bad. Well, really, if we boil down to this, we wouldn't delete women off the face of the earth. We wouldn't delete guns off the face of the earth because we realize that there's a purpose in a descriptive claim that we can use. We observe that a gun can do two things. It can either be good or bad. We can look at a woman, despite what Eve did or Delilah did to Samson or anything else, that can be either good or bad. It's the leadership with this information. It's your decision-making ability. I'm able to create a distinction and separate the two. Now, I can have a data packet of information. I wouldn't even look at the results of this information. Now, what this information is an accumulation of results. What you do with this is up to you. Now, you could take this and go to Christians. You could take this and do anything else you want, but you would never blame this thing for outcomes. You would just say this thing is bad, is not bad. It's just inert. But once activated, whatever activates this is actually bad. Meaning your intention, which you separate from one to the other. Now, your intention added on to this is what makes it good or bad, just like the gun. I could pick up a gun, save a life, or kill a life. I can take fire, cook food for a village, or burn down a village. I could take a woman, she could AB all my babies at Planned Parenthood, or she can build a patriarchal structure in a family and accommodate this in a communal setting. So this is what I'm saying. If you start blaming the outcomes, you then make the thing bad, which it's not inherently bad. It's what people do with this under the guise of leadership. And that's what I think is bad. There's no leadership in this country. And that's why I'm making it I would actually promote Christianity. And actually Mo would too. He would promote this. When added onto this, it's good. But actually, when you talk about data, I don't think the data is good nor bad. And I don't think that's causing people harm. It's actually the majority of belief systems added onto this that's actually bad. Hence the whole gun argument, the whole female all bad thing, which he didn't want to dive into, which understandably so. I don't want to piss off his missus either. So it's like, I'm just the 40-year-old virgin in the middle just talking about this ranting. So by the way, I appreciate you guys having this debate with me. This has been fun, and it's been a great time playing devil's advocate for once, which I like. Good stuff.
All righty. Thank you for that closing, Marte. And reminder for everybody in the chat, if you hit refresh, because if you've been here from the start, it wasn't in there right at the start. But if you hit refresh, you can find both the debaters in the description. Make sure you go sub up to both of them. All right. Mo's, figuring out what he wants to do with his channel. And I feel like if you guys go give him some more subs, he'll be, even more motivated to start doing that. All right. And Marte, he's giving plenty of content all the time. So make sure you guys go and sub up for that over there. Okay. Give them both support for coming out and giving you guys a great show tonight. Okay. Are you both going to be staying for the after panel?
I'll stay.
Yeah, man. I'll stay, man.
I'm waiting for the relentless bombardment. I'm sure someone has something to say.
I'm waiting to as well. Let's bring it up. Bring on the horde. Right. Let's go.
Actually,
with that being said,
okay.
We're going to move into the Q&A segment. But first, I have a question. I like to get a question in for both sides before we do the Q&A from the chat. So for the first one, it's going to be I'm going to start on the pro side of the prompt. So is it possible that, like, because of these a lot of uncomfortable truths that do come out of the manosphere and red pill spaces, is it possible that and it's usually about dating dynamics and the male disadvantages? That's what we've heard a lot about here. Is it possible that it only appears harmful because of these uncomfortable truths about the dating dynamics and male disadvantages?
Is that for me? Sorry,
Yeah.
it's 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it a
Well, I
possible
think-
thing that it's only appearing harmful, but it's actually a good thing? That's what I'm trying to ask, basically.
You mean, just to clarify, you're talking about the descriptors and not the actions that the men take with those descriptors?
Right. Is it? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Is it possible
No,
that it seems harmful because of that? Yeah.
Well, I would say that it is, I guess you could say, possible, but a lot of people will take the descriptors and, like, for instance, one of the descriptors of the red pill is women are hypergamous. A lot of Christians would look at that and go, "Oh my God, no! What are you talking about? That's not a thing." Then they clutch their pearls. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of the descriptors are very accurate for just how men and women are. It can seem harmful, but I don't think it is, because even given to one of Marte's points, data in and of itself is not inherently harmful, which I never argued against.
Okay. And did you have something to say to that, Marte?
No, I actually agree with everything you said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And then, so, if the manosphere and the red pill is so damaging to men, right? Why do we see a lot of men reporting that it does give them direction and it gives them, like, confidence at a time when, like, they're saying, like, society doesn't have anything that gives men this? So, like, if it was so damaging, why would we have so many men reporting the positive of it?
Well, I think
Like, you see, like, they have a big following and everything like this, right?
Yeah, I think in a lot of these cases, you have to look at it. It's a snapshot in time, right? It's not speaking to the long-reaching effects of what it will have to a society as a whole if it's followed and they just keep going down this path. You can take the red pills, prescriptors or descriptors, and you can do a lot with them, but that doesn't mean it's inherently good for society or men feeling fulfilled. You can collect all the toys you want, right? But it doesn't give you a fulfilling life. And it basically boils down to, you can take this list of things and you can get a lot of benefit out of it, but it doesn't fill your life with purpose and in the long run. And that's what I'm looking at, and that's what I'm critiquing.
All right. Do you have anything for that, Marte?
So I half-heartedly agree with what he's saying. I'll say, yeah, that it isn't. If we look at a list of data points on female nature, things like this, I could also look at scripture. It gives you a list of female nature, things like that happen. I would rather be miserable in the desert than in a house with a quarrelsome wife, things like this. This sounds very red pillish. So if we think about this, it's like, even in modernity, it's like two things can be true. So it's like, for him to say, well, yeah, I agree with Marte, which is what he's saying right now. I can also agree that a lot of people on its face appearing, I think that this is an optics nightmare to women and feminists who are offended and clutch their pearls on the secular side, and they'll get pissed. They'll say, well, how dare I get exposed and be held accountable, which both sides do with Christianity and then red pill. I think that there's overlap here that we're talking about. Now, I think that when people insert their own prescriptions, meaning like, red pill never said you should do this because they gave you an is statement, not a not. This is where you go wrong, not the red pill. And that's been my whole argument the whole time.
All right. Thank
Just
you
real
for
quick,
that.
I think
yeah.
just real quick, I think my wife is watching. So, wife, please bring me some coffee.
I knew it because you didn't want to go down that path.
There you go.
I was
There
like,
you
okay,
go.
cool. Shouts
Mo
out to
needs
the
some
Mrs.
coffee.
Rebuttal, by the way.
I'll tell you just real quick. I gave her the stream, and it was like, okay, if you want to comment in the future, like maybe we'll make you an account for it because her current account has her name in it. And she's like, "Can I be Mo Patriarchy?"
That's good.
Base.
like-
That's pretty base.
That's a good
I
one.
was like, "That's hilarious." So yeah, maybe
I
so.
like it.
yeah, Mo Patriarchy. I like it, man.
That's a good one. All right, so for now we'll do for Marte's side here. I got two for you as well. So okay, so if there is a like the Manosphere and the packet, right? The packet of information, if this is truly helping men, why do we see with like most like the popular influencers, they'll promote things that would like actually seem around like paranoia and victimhood and like like, oh, men have it so hard, fuck these women. You'll see them talk like, go get a vasectomy and don't worry about family. You'll see like a lot of the popular influencers that are in the mainstream of Red Pill, they'll say things like this. So like, if that was a packet that truly helps men, why do we see a lot of the main influencers going to this path?
So this is the same argument that I kind of made to a certain point, but I'll elaborate a little bit more. We can say if Christianity good, why do we have like Jimmy Swaggart grifting a lot of people and then he just bought a Bentley last week? Things like this happening. If Christianity is so good, why is this female pastor putting up pride flags in her church as well? Let's look at the case, right? The case, for example, of saying like, we can even say even on our platform, there can be grifters influencing the chat from another verse that happens, right? There are grifters that come in and they actually drama content off of the content that we have, meaning that they're hanger-oners, orbiters, and things like this. We can see this. So that's a performative example of what happens. Although I would say that your content is pure because you're firm, fair, consistent, and unbiased as a moderator. However, people can see this hate watch and then have little clips because you made a mistake and things like this. And they're saying, oh, look at him. He's really bad, this and that. And this is bad. Well, all of this originates from one point. And they would say like, okay, the moderator speakeasy is bad because he produced content for this other guy. And you would say, no, he clipped me out of context. And that's bad. So that's all this argument is like the red pills is a descriptor. What we have is a lot of hanger-oners, orbiters, and grifters who are in it to feed off of men's pain and punishment.
All right. And did you have anything for that, Mo?
Well, I would say this goes into the argument that I made, the outcome versus the intent, right? And you can see a lot of the proponents of this, you could say like, okay, and Andrew Tate for one, right? Now he's softened recently from what I understand on his view on marriage, but he still advocates for some of the actions he takes where he has like a woman in each country and he has a kid with each one. This is completely like degenerate. It doesn't actually give any kind of family structure. It doesn't promote all the good things we see that actually promote a good society. And also it's unachievable for the vast majority of men. So what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to have a woman in every country, a bunch of Megadis and all this other stuff? It's just it's setting men up for failure, and then that they inevitably go down that logical train of thought, and a lot of them do end up as black pilled or MGTOW.
So I actually have a quick response. I'll make this really quick, speakeasy, to respect your time.
No, the questions are designed like you can have a little back and forth here. That's fine.
So with Andrew Tate, he's never explicitly said I'm red pill. What Andrew Tate is an Islamist. I would say a guy that believes in Muslim religion, right? In the Muslim religion, they can have Sharia law, all these wives and everything like that. Now, if you took the Sharia law off of this, right, you would then say that's another version of red pill when it just happens to be Sharia law. Women must submit, shut up, wear burqas on, not show their body so that way they can submit to us and all this. Sounds very red pill extremist, and you're going to have extremists in every sect that you have. Now, if you're going to have this data packet, I mean, let's be accurate here. He's never once espoused and said, I'm part of a red pill or I'm a red pill person. All you're hearing is this Muslim Islamist rhetoric, which we can identify that we don't want in our country. Now, that's really what's being espoused here because plenty of wives, Islamists, right? A lot of money, which the Arabs and sheiks have, all this other money, and he's just doing what rich Muslim people do. That's all he's espousing. That's it. And that's really what it is when you uncover everything else.
Well, yeah, I just use him as an extreme example, I would say. But I think if you ask if you ask like the general populace, is Andrew Tate a red pillar? I think they would say yes.
There's a lot of informed people that would tell you that Jimmy Swaggart or one of these other people, they would say that Ned Flanders represents Christianity because they would like, is there a cartoon caricature that was, so they would be like, oh yeah, that's Christianity. You would say, no, that's actually the person that's a simp that no woman would want to bang ever. That's a misrepresentation of Christianity. But if we're using this, I don't want to be ad populum here and say this, but that's just an example of like what people would identify as a cartoon character that's Christian that they can identify, yet that's a misrepresentation of what it really is.
All right. So my second question for Marte's side would be, how would you reconcile that? Like when you look into like the followers of these mainstream red pill movements, you seem to see. I mean, maybe you disagree with this, and you can tell me if you disagree with this. But it seems to see like a lot of like the incel archetypes are the ones you see filling up these Manosphere, the mainstream ones, anyways. The type of things you'll see them write in the chats and whatnot. They give off the incel vibe. And how do you reconcile like that's the people that it attracts if it is a good thing for men?
So I reconcile this with saying that a lot of people, like if we just had like a national dump, let's say Canada said, we're not going to have Mounties anymore. We're just going to dump guns and we're going to have what he deems the purge because we're getting the idea from Speakeasy's platform. Hence this national thing that they're going to do. They're going to say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to dump 50 million guns and wherever they lay, that's where they're at. They're going to be premium, exquisite examples with silencers on every, doorstep and everything like this. They would then say that, okay, well, guns are bad. It's like, well, what people do with this is bad. And this goes back to my gun argument. It's like, well, that's not inherently bad. But if you have a nation misguided and led by sin and destruction and to their own benevolent, selfish nature, which is individualism is the religion that's rampant, you would even agree, Speakeasy and Mo, in this country and yours. So if they're led by this and not exactly the gun mantra, because there is one that exists for gun owners, we would say that people adopt their own policy and make things up as they go with this information packet. And I would say that men are just bowing down to their own nature, not the information provided by them. And if you have this in mass, you would then see just an exposure, a magnification of men's true nature, not the information. And that's all this is an example of, is just the true nature of man is just sinful. That's what we are. And was presented with information like either a beautiful woman, we can either turn her into a whore or turn her into a housewife. It just depends on what we do with this information. It just so happens that the outcome of I'm not even the outcome, but the majority of people in this nation just happen to be full with sin. You would blame the sin, not the data.
All right. Did you have anything for that, Mo?
No, I mean, just going back to what I brought up in the debate, I do think you have to look at the overwhelming use of the data. And once again, I'm not critiquing the data and saying it in itself is bad, but men are logical creatures, so they're going to take this data points and they're going to extrapolate what they view as being logical, and they're going to take the actions that we see in a lot of these orbiters of the red pill and even some of the proponents of the red pill, these influencers and such. So I think it's, you really do have to look at that's what I'm critiquing. I'm critiquing the harm that comes out of the men following it. I mean, Marte and a few times in the debate seemed to make it out that I was attacking the descriptors. I'm not really. The only time I really critiqued them is when I made the claim that you do have some descriptors that have hidden moral axioms embedded in them. But I'm not critiquing the descriptors as a whole. That was not my argument.
Well, just I have to respond to this. The gun can have like a hidden outcome and axiom with this too, because we all know that guns kill effectively. They're really good at doing this. So it's like,
but they overwhelmingly protect.
Right. But protection can end up in killing people, right? So we could all agree with this. So it's like, yeah, because it does this, doesn't give it an ought, right? It doesn't give it an ought because of the example that you're giving, because of the outcome. Outcomes and oughts don't always align perfectly at the end of the day. Just people making their own informed decisions and piling on sin and intention on top of this. Like I said, it goes back to intention, and intention can be divorced from the data.
So does the red pill have a mechanism to show men how to be moral?
It's never prescribed morality or to say, hey, we're a standard of morality.
Wouldn't that be you in your own argument? You said if men don't or people don't have direction, they're better off a direction. So if you have a system that all these red pill guys are coming from and they're taking the wrong directions, don't they need to have direction?
Yeah, that's why we have Christianity. So that's why we have laws around guns. And this is the whole gun argument. So it isn't guns that are bad. They need to have laws around guns and how to use it and all this other stuff. But it's like, if you take the laws away from it,
So
we
the
would never
laws
demonize
would
the
be
gun.
Christianity you would inject in this scenario, in this hypothetical?
Yeah, you can inject Christianity with guns, and then Christianity can support
No,
guns.
I'm saying in your hypothetical Christianity would be the laws you would inject into the red pill in order to give it direction.
Yeah, because I don't think the red pill is going to give you direction. It's just going to give you is claims and not ought claims. Like, that's not the staple of red pill when it comes to the data.
Well, not to rehash, but I mean, it's clear that men are getting oughts from the descriptors.
They're getting oughts from outside factors. Like, let's say that somebody cheated on my wife or something like that. The outside factors, like, yeah, it is true if she's cheating on me that I probably can be enraged and use this gun. But nobody ever told me that I should use the gun for this purpose. So that's the thing, though, is I think men are following their own passions and their desires and lacking discipline. And that's something that's aside from the data that were presented.
All right. So now with that, we're going to get into the Q&A. I'm going to start this timer up. Chat, like I said, we're going to do the super chats. I only see a couple here, though, and then we'll get into the Q&A. But you can, if while we're doing the Q&A, if you want to bump yourself up, you can send a super chat, Cash App, PayPal, bump yourself up. With that, let's start this timer. And we got Tay Gooch sends in $10 just to say for the goal. Not one step back, and not one step back, sir. Tay Gooch, nice. Thank you very much for the $10 super chat. The Cheap Chimp, I love this name. Is it okay for Mart Ray? He must have been doing speech to text. Is it okay for Marte to speak for a priest when you go and ask him questions about dating and relationships, or am I confused for both to answer? So whoever wants to answer first, and then the other one can.
I can never speak for a priest. I can't do that. I can't speak on behalf of clergy. Matter of fact, I'm just a lowly catechumen. I'm like nothing. To be honest, to the whole chat, I'm just like a piece of dirt. To me, I'm full of sin and I'm full of fault and I make mistakes all the time. And it's like, that's why I have to become repentant till the day that I die. So I'm not on the same level, I'm decades because of my past and everything else like that. Before even uttering the fact that, or thought that I have to speak to a priest or thinking I could do that. So that's just to address that. But when it comes to asking him for data, I'm trying to reconcile this question, try to figure this out. Are you saying that if I was to go talk to a priest, I think that this is good. I think that if I take this red pill data and talk to a priest and say, this is the data that I have currently on the dating market. This is what women are doing and how they're moving. What do I do with this? He would then take this and unpack this data packet and say, okay, now I'm more aware of how they're moving. This is different because the digital age changes things. Even though it's the same old book, same old script, it's just wearing a different costume, and he would help me out a whole lot. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I mean, he says for both, but I mean, I would just kind of agree with what Marte says. He's not trying to speak for a priest. He's just, kind of generally talking about it. So,
yeah.
Okay. Bruce comes in for $5, says, Red Pill says women initiate divorce 70% of the time. Manosphere says, knowing this, men shouldn't get married. Isn't that causing more harm than good?
Well, that's actually inserting like a ought claim in an is. Like you're smuggling this in. So if Red Pill says that women initiate divorce 70% of the time, and then Manosphere says knowing this, the whole thing shouldn't get married. I think that when you have grifters like Coach Red Pill saying that we shouldn't do this, That's not really red pill. That's he markets as like the free agent lifestyle. You notice the grift is something he doesn't even label red pill. That's how you know these grifters. They're not calling themselves red pill. They call themselves some other tagline or something else. Grifters do this often. They'll say, "Hey, I need a second." And Mo's probably seen this in churches too. I'm going to refresh your memory. We have a third building fund in this and that. And the pastor rolls in with a Mercedes, and this is what happens all the time. Well, meanwhile, he's got broken poor people in his church. You would say, "Well, hold on, isn't that like what we're talking about?" Like we would see the bad, right? We would say, no, this is divorced from true Christianity. We would say, no, this is not a representation of this. So this is like what he's doing with the information is just bastardizing this, and this is just all bad. When I think that there's a certain way that this should be dealt with, and it's like we all can agree on this, that people abuse things all the time, and this is what's happening. They're putting in a ought statement within this.
Yeah, he flies in on a jetpack with a rock music, lands on the stage. It's like, today's sermon is about humility.
Alrighty. And then we got Daniel Zan sends in $2 name change Mo rebuttal to Ned Flanders.
That's great.
And then we got another $10 for on Cash App says for cause you're lucky you found Alicia. Yes, this is true. This is true. And thank you for the $10 Cash App. And now wait, that was the last one for Cash Apps, PayPals, and Super Chat. So we're gonna go over here to the
EBT section
in the Q&A. All right, and the first one we got. The first one we got is let me see here. Question for both. How are we defining red pill? What is the delineation between red pill and Christianity or black pill?
Black pill is like, I'll answer this. Black pill's nihilism. And even Mo would agree with me that this is bad. He's actually agreed with me, and I've actually agreed with him and said that black pill is just nihilism. This is just throwing your hands up and giving up and saying, you know what? No. And black pill is a strategy. Black pill is just detachment from reality, detachment from flourishing society and everything else. Now, to deal with the rest of your question, red pill to me would be me telling Mo, hey, listen, man, this is how the majority of women are moving these days. This is the AB rates at which they're deleting babies. If you move to this section, they're deleting babies at less, and divorces are happening less. Matter of fact, it's red pill logic for me to tell people, if you're Orthodox Christian, your divorce rate's going to go down to 9%. That's a red pill stat. Now, you can take this information and do bad with this, and you can say, okay, since they leave men less, and I'm going to turn into a rat uterus book, I'm going to go over here to these women and take advantage of them because they're never going to leave me. I can do something bad with this information, but I can also turn something good into this information and have a flourishing family in life. So that's my definition of red pills. Like, I just gave you that data packet right here, and it's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to be good with this, or are you going to take advantage of these women that aren't going to leave their husband, or least likely to do this? So,
yeah, I guess my definition of the red pill would be a list of descriptors, but also the community that follows it and what the fruits of that community is, because it's hard to separate the two. When you look at outcomes, and I can agree with a certain part of the red pill being its descriptors, but I can disagree with the outcomes, which goes into the prescriptors. And I would agree with basically what Marte said on the rest of it.
Alrighty. Before we get to the next question in the Q&A, Daniel sends in $20, bumps himself up, says, Alicia Pacheco said, you said, a priest cannot guide a man or give relationship advice. Defend that again, because that's an L take.
oh, wait, is that for me?
Yeah, I'm guessing, yeah. I'm not sure. Alicia,
yeah, a priest can give you advice. A priest give advice all the time. What I said is that you can't give advice and speak on behalf of priest. Like, you can't. Is that what you got, Mo? Because that's how I answered it, right? Like, I can't speak on behalf of priest, but what I can do is I can give priest information, and they can give me advice with the information.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm trying to make sense of this super chat here. I don't.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think
don't
he's
know. It
saying
looks
that
like
you
it's
said
directed
a
at
priest
Alicia, but-
cannot guide a man or give relationship advice.
Said you said.
Yeah, it said Alicia said, but it's I'll answer that. I mean, my answer would be like, no, I've never said a priest can't give advice or guide a man. That
That
would
could
be an
be
L take if
something
somebody
we've
said
heard
that.
of.
I'll agree with that.
Oh, it's for Mo. Wait, what? It's for Mo.
For
You
me.
said a priest cannot guide a man or give relationship advice.
I don't remember ever saying that. If I did, then must have. Maybe I. If I did, I misspoke, but I don't remember saying that. Do you remember, Marte? Did I say that?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
might-
remember that, but if you did say that, I agree it's an L take though.
Or
If
no,
it
he's saying
happened,
Marte
it's an L
said
take.
that. Yeah, they're both. I
Oh.
think it's maybe it was a mix-up of something said. Someone go back and clip it for us. Maybe we'll
Could
get
be a
better
panel
idea.
versus invasion. You never know.
Yeah.
These detractors are everywhere, bro. They're spies.
Abby sends in $10, bumps herself up. Thank you, Abby. Says, why are there single men who follow Red Pill converting to Muslims?
So that would be an assertion, and like to me, I think that's unfalsifiable when we think about this on its face. Because I was a red pill guy that followed the red pill, and I'm an Orthodox Christian. Granted, you're going to have red pill people that convert to LDS. You're going to have people convert to like Judaism. This thing happens, so it's like, you know, it's the whole outcome orientated thing, and you can't hold people responsible for the outcome by saying it's the whole gun thing. It's like, why are people dying in massive guns existing? Well, it's like, well, lives are being saved and all this. It's just the decisions people make, and you have to separate their belief systems from the data that's presented to them.
Did you have anything you wanted to say to that, Mo?
I would say with a lot of the influencers, I would say you see a lot of them converting to Islam because Islam reflects some of the extreme prescriptions that come from the red pill. I think it more closely, you could say, okay, so Christianity, when it goes to the descriptors, a lot of it aligns up. But then you could say the prescriptors that come out of the red pill lines up with Muslims. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the same thing could be said for extremists on Christians, especially on the right, because we have extremists that exist in every culture subset. And we could even say this, like it's layered throughout, that you're going to have extremists who are Jews, right? Or, you know, or even we would even say like LDS or anything like that. You're going to have extremes everywhere. But it's like, if you think about this, anything taken to the extreme and bastardized can be bad.
Yeah, I think also so I will say this, I'll give this olive branch, that a lot of the more extreme content creators that are doing the whole polygamy thing and all this other crazy stuff, they are Muslims. They go towards the Islam faith. So I will extend that olive branch and say that in the Red Pill community, you do see a lot of that.
Yeah, a lot of men, I think, give way to like hedonism, and a lot of men are just trying to find excuse, so they'll take the red pill and then they'll say, well, see, I told you so. It's saying that all women are bad, so we should just take what we get. And this is where you have the Miss P. Davis thing saying, well, we're adjacent to nihilism. Hey, this is how it is. You better take advantage of everything while you can. And it's while saying also in the same breath, well, I don't get prescriptors here and doing all this. Well, it's like, yeah, I understand that, but you're on a platform literally telling men like, hey, this is just how it is, and it sucks to give you olive branch back to you, where it's like kind of in a way she's giving a prescription here when she says this is how it is, you're screwed and you're an idiot if you do this, but you're not if you don't do this. Because to me, I could even say that that's a semblance of a prescription, but it's not a prescription. I mean, like legalistically, right, we can say that we can evade through that. That's the whole gray area portion of this whole argument.
All right. Our next one comes in from OG, sends in $5. Thank you very much. Great good faith debate from both of you. Got to side with the Christian brother, though. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks for hosting, Easy.
Right,
You're welcome, OG, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, so you just agree for both of us.
Yeah.
Agree with both of us. I appreciate it,
I was
bro.
gonna say they're. I was just gonna say that I'm pretty sure they're both Christians. So
Speakeasy
gotta
too.
side with both of them. And you can side with the moderator too. So you side with all.
Yeah,
of
there
us.
you go. W.
We all win. All right, we all got a W.
Yeah.
Thank you, OG.
There you go.
$2 from Daniel says name change Marte to Quinton Rampage Jackson.
I know, right? So crazy, bro.
Shit. We got Geoverse sends in. Why should someone feel ashamed for defending degeneracy?
I think it should be good for you to shame people for degeneracy, and I think not only this, but Christianity, I could even say they have the same thing. Christians shame people all the time, and I think it's a good thing. What I think that culture has done in response to this, like I said, even some the moderators Speak Easy and Mo said this, approach determines your response. And I think that we've taken out, I would say, the stigma from shame and thus had allowance. What you allow is what will continue. Now, if we had people called spinsters back in the day because you grew old and gray without kids, we demonize that. We shame people like that. I think it's good because it actually produces a flourishing society when we have the inverse that happens. Red pill community would say, well, no, that's bad to sleep around. And Christians would say it's also bad to sleep around. I think it's a good mechanism. And what feminism has done is taken out the charge and energy and impact from this good thing that we've had. And they've actually they've actually created the inverse and put stigma on people who are stay-at-home moms and bastardizing them by calling them slaves and everything else. The opposites happen. And I think that when you pair the red pill with Christianity, I think it's a good combination. It's modern information that's just informative packets that we can give to people who have a good foundation of Christian understanding, and combined with this, it creates a thing like Voltron that defeats evil ultimately. It's good.
I would say from a secular standpoint, you can't say degeneracy is bad. So it really goes back to where do you ground your morals at?
Facts based. I agree.
All right. Wagira comes in for $5, says Christians be hiding behind a mud descriptor a lot lately. Just saying. And avoid prescriptions. What's up with that?
Well, the thing is, it literally contradicts itself. It's like, if you're a Christian, meaning like if I look at my identifier as a Christian, and Mo would say a Trinitarian that truly believes in the Holy Apostolic tradition of 2,000 years of unchanging standard, we're hiding behind a descriptor. Yeah, of course, we can hide behind the fact that a woman's a harlot. We can hide behind the fact that if she deleted 5 babies, she may be a bad choice outcome for us to be with. And it's like, yeah, you literally just said I'm a Christian that's doing this, when really it's not hiding. We're just using this. So it's like, to me, it's like, if I'm a Christian, I'm not avoiding prescriptions because the Christian's built in with the prescription. Like, a Christian already has a prescription. But that's why I don't understand the question, because if I'm a Christian that's hiding behind a prescription, like, that's good. Like, I don't see what's wrong with that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't understand what the hell he's talking about. Christians have all kind of prescriptions for how to lead life and have a good life. So
yeah, I'm a Christian.
We don't hide behind it. We should look out for those prescriptors more. Actually, we should safeguard those.
Yeah. So I'm not hiding behind that. I think that if I'm a Christian, we already have prescriptions because you've already identified me as a Christian. So the prescription's already there. I would actually just use the descriptor. I would actually compare that with Christianity. I think it's a good mix.
All right. Now we'll get back. That's it for Super Chats again. Oh, wait, nope. Whoop, one more. Not $1 back to Sarah. Great debate tonight.
I love it. That's what's his name? Free from Pukin? Is that what his name is? Shout out to Free from Pukin. That guy deserves 1 million likes on this comment right now.
Facts.
I support this with my whole being. That's it. Yes.
Facts. Yeah, when he first came up with that, I was like, that's too good. That's too funny.
Too good.
Thank you for that. $2. Now we're gonna get back to the we have time. The next one comes in from Echoplexia Gaming. I wanted to mention that the red pill is a praxeology, not an ideology.
Yeah, I would agree. It's not an ideology. Therefore, like an ideology, you have prescriptures, right? But I would actually go so far as to say that even though Rollo may say it's a praxeology, me and Andrew Wilson actually agree on this. I look at it as more like a data packet. And I think that if I tell other men, they'd actually co-sign and agree. They'd say, yeah, that's information. What would be wrong with that? What would be the harm of just informing me of what the stats are of today and all this other stuff? But it's then where I creep in and I say, well, hold on. This is what is a good decision for you to do, young man, or whatever that is. Now I'm warping everything else and I'm actually pushing him in a direction. So that warps everything else. So I do agree. It's not an ideology.
Yeah,
All right.
I never claimed it was an ideology either. So, yeah.
All right, all right. Daniel sends in $2 to say name change Marte to Curtis Jackson. 50
You guys are trying to give me my black card again. I got revoked for 9 years. It's been denied.
50 cent for the nerds, he said. That's hilarious. The nerds might not know who it is, so that makes sense. I get it.
Yeah.
The
Crazy.
next one is comes in from Bruce and says Red Pill offers a data set. Manosphere offers prescriptions. Are any of those prescriptions harmful to society?
Well, here's
Yes.
the thing, though. I think that when you talk about the Manosphere, there are prescriptions that people use, but all of this stems from, I would say, red pill data packets that we have. The Manosphere, I don't think harms people. Here's the problem with this. You're basically saying that a room that men can escape to for reprieve from violent feminism, and yes, I'm calling it violent feminism because they're, deleting babies en masse, and they're also creating a G side. I'll call it that because of YouTube TOS on their end. So I think that if you have darkness, you're going to have light. Whenever you have Christianity, you're going to have sin. So you're going to have opposing forces. So this is just like kind of a temporary asylum of an escape room that men go to because they don't have anywhere to go, which is created. I don't think the Manosphere is a space that's bad. What I do think is we have bad actors in the space that can use this to grift and make room bad. So it's not really the room that's bad. Who's in the room? That's the question. Do you have Coach Red Pill or anybody else? Then I'd say, okay, yeah, you're right about this, but it's the people, not really the space, because the Manosphere is just a space, and then Red Pill is just a data packet.
Yeah, I guess my rebuttal to that would be that just because you have a group of individuals that have a brotherhood doesn't mean it's inherently good. Gangs or a brotherhood doesn't mean they're inherently good. When you look at the Manosphere, there are a lot that comes from it that does cause harm statistically. We went over the homelessness issue. You can't deny that a lot of the people in the Manosphere, the tenets that they follow will lead to more single mother children, single mother households. So I do think that there is quite a bit of harm that comes from the Manosphere.
When you say tenants, that would be separate because I don't think that anybody in the Manosphere would say, well, I got these tenants from the Manosphere. No, they got it from Coach Red Pill. They got it from a certain individual who added everything else in their own splash of flavor and sprinkled on a little bit of nihilism.
They're part of the Manosphere, right? We went over the MGTOW and Black Pill. Those are part of the Manosphere.
No, so these are bad actors that you have in a room. The Manosphere is just a space where anybody could exhibit. I, as a Christian, could be existing in the Manosphere. Orthodox Christians can come in and say, yeah, I'm involved in the Manosphere trying to help men. This is an outreach that I could say that I purport, but this is just a room that I'm in. Now, you can have bad actors in the sphere. All the spheres is just a space. That's all they're talking about. Now, whoever's in this room, it's like you don't say the room's bad because the person's in it. It's the person that's bad that changes the I would say the temperature of the room and things like this, but this changes, right? Just like any other room. So the room isn't bad. It's just the people that are bad. I would say that Coach Red Pill's bad, not the space.
Sure, but overwhelmingly, the vast majority of men in the Manosphere that subscribe to MGTOW and all these other prescriptors, they make up the overwhelming majority of it. The Christian men who might find themselves in this group who apply the descriptors of the red pill and get benefit out of it, you can't use them to justify the whole.
So nobody's making a justification of the whole, because that's like saying, well, we need to just delete the room because most of the men that inhabit this room is bad. You would never cause a demolition to a house because this is infiltrated by a group of Islamist people who just decide to have degenerate lifestyles or whatever it is they do. You would never
If it
destroy
had a bunch
the
of
house.
termites, I would.
People and demonize the people who inhabit the house.
If it was full of termites, I would. And that's what they are, termites.
Yeah, but that would be like, okay, then it isn't the house, it's the termites. It makes my argument. So you would hire an exterminator, not a demolition man. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Next one comes in from Daniel, just says, why are you gay?
You mean happy? 50 years
Why
ago,
are
I
you
think
gay?
happy.
Ray, it's the next one, says, Marte, making the comparison to guns suggests some form of regulation is necessary.
So I wouldn't say it's necessary. I think the reason why we have regulation on guns is because of people's decisions that they put on, that they apply with the gun. Like if I have a belief system to where it's like the old West and we duel out, like Roosevelt, I think it was Roosevelt who did like one of the most based presidents who had a duel on the White House lawn. If I'm accurate in my history here, had a duel. It's like, I think that that's extremely based, but it's like the same thing with the gun argument. I think that if you're going to apply principles on top of guns, it's not the gun that's bad. It's just the fact that people will do with it it's the whole do as thou wilt thing that's bad. That's really what it is. So if you have people falling into pleasure, into selfish needs and desires, and they have a gun, yeah, this could definitely be inherently bad, but it's not the gun that's bad. The reason why we design laws around guns is because, the outcome is like, well, a lot of people could misuse this and we're trying to prevent misuse. So with the red pill, that's the whole prescriptive measure that I'm saying, add Christianity on top of this, and this complements it very well. This is the laws that we have. Red pill, me going to my pastor or priest and saying, hey, these are the stats. This is what the day market's looking like. And here's my Tinder profile. What do you think I should do? Yeah, those are the laws that I'm designing around the red pills using a Christian perspective.
All right. Next question is, let me see. Oh. It comes from Rev Russ. If red pill encourages men to spin plates, wouldn't that logically increase the very outcomes it claims to oppose, such as higher rates of single motherhood and higher likelihood of abortion?
So you're talking about if a bad actor gets in data and says, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm the sneaky rat uterus guy. And I'm going to come in and say, you know what, I'm going to tell men that they need to do this with this information. Well, that's that man that's a bad actor. We would say that organizations, podcasts, and even panels, not like this one, but other ones that were mentioned, aforementioned earlier, could be full of bad actors that grift and do certain things and will have hit pieces out on people and do things because they want the majority of the populace in their pocket. A lot of this is just a money changing game for a lot of people, and they'll infiltrate markets all the time. Hence, it isn't the data that's really prescribing and telling people to do this. You have bad actors that are telling people to do this with their own alternate agenda because they just want to get a book written and make money off of a grift, and they want to have a platform and have people buy into this. You have a lot of salesmen that are just bad, that'll sell you a bad car, but it doesn't make the car industry bad.
All right. Did you have anything for that, Mo?
No, I mean, I could just reiterate what I said earlier, but I've kind of talked to this. It's you do have a lot of guys in the Red Pill community, and it's not just like a few. It's the overwhelming majority of them subscribe to a lot of the prescriptors. So unfortunately, that's the case.
All right. Daniel pops himself up with 10. Says, Marte, Roosevelt was married 1981 to 1985. She died, and then he married 1886 until his... Wait, did you mean to say 1986? How do you go back in time? What's going on here? I
Yeah,
think,
that's crazy.
Got that
he
flux
meant
capacitor.
19. Wait a minute.
What?
We got to go back, Marty.
I don't
Wait,
understand.
you guys-
Marty McFly, where's
you
the
guys
DeLorean
reading
at,
that?
bro?
Are you guys reading this? 1981 to 1985. She died, and then he married 1886 until his death in 1919.
He wasn't happy. He went back. He's like, I'm doing it over.
33 years with his second wife. He's not red pill. He's Mo side. You lose again. Your own idols, not red pill.
So, what I'll say in this outrageous fictional scenario where the time dilation just happens, I think there was a movie about this, which was very fascinating with Matthew McConaughey. I would say in this example, that would be actually really red pill. Red pill would say that if there's an outcome of success, that's just a fact, and that's just a data point. I never made it is claim or ought claim. I don't think Roosevelt was, I never said like he was red pill or not red pill. I'm saying that maybe the actions that he did, the red pill would agree with. They'd say, okay, well, if he was successful, then we wouldn't be against that. No red pill person would say, well, I'm against success if actually he was happily married. Like no red pill says, well, we're against men's happiness or successful marriages. Like that, no, not one red pill person that I've even heard, even on the bad actor side, has actually espoused or railed against successful marriages. I've never heard that once, but yeah, I mean, the Marty McFly reference here is pretty good, though.
Oh shit, that's funny. And thank you for that $10 super chat, Daniel. We got a minute. We got enough for one more here. It says it comes in from Ray Marte. Can you steel man Mo's position? How about you both can steel man each other's position? Since we only have a minute left, we'll end it with that.
I'll start off. Mo is basically saying that because of the outcomes end up really bad, it's the thing that's bad. And he's saying that absent Christ, like, I mean, he would actually agree with me in saying that it's bad because there's no direction. And if you get direction from this, you'll just have bad outcomes.
Mostly right. I would just say the outcomes are bad, not the starting point of the descriptors would be my argument. But to Steelman Marte, it's that basically the red pill is descriptors. There is no ought claim. It is just an is claims. And what you do with it is up to the individual.
That was perfect timing.
Yeah, that was perfect.
He ain't no Justin Timberlake, but we're definitely in sync right there. So
that was it. In sync is right. And listen, that is gonna wrap up the audience Q&A portion of tonight's debate. Again, huge thanks to everyone who sent in questions and showed support through the super chats, cash apps, PayPals. Every bit of that support helps keep the show running, make these debates possible. Right? Big respect to both our debaters for stepping into the arena tonight. Again, like I always say, whether you agreed or disagreed, it takes actual courage to come up here, hold your ground, test your ideas, and do it all in front of a live audience. So make sure you go find both debaters in the description so you can sub up to both of them, show them support so they can continue coming back and giving you guys debates as well. What we're going to do is we're going to roll the debate outro. This runs for about 3 minutes. That'll give the debaters, you, the chat, and myself a quick breather, go take a piss, get a drink, anything you need to do. During the outro, I'll drop the link to join the panel because we're going to do the Chaos and Chill panel after the outro is done. So anyone's welcome to come up, share your take, ask questions, challenge what you've heard. But again, heads up, joining the panel is not for drama, trolling, spurging over everyone. So if you do that shit, you're just going to end up getting muted and then booted. All right. So none of that nonsense. And if you're enjoying what you've seen tonight, make sure you subscribe to the Speakeasy channel so you don't miss more debates just like this one, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. All right, so stick around. Once the outro goes down, that's when the chaos will begin. All right. You're watching Swords of Reason on the Speakeasy Show, where logic meets passion and the conversations never end. And we'll see you guys in just a few minutes.
Step into the circle where the echoes collide. Truth through the static, no place to hide. Iron tongue, sharpen fire in our breath. We dance with conviction on the edge of death. Your words are bullets, mine are storms. Ideas forged where lightning forms. No retreat, no treason. We clash our swords of reason. Cut through lies with steel precision. No faith, no fear, just raw collision. We clash our swords of reason. Facts burn brighter than a prophet's flame. Egos crumble, but the truth remains. Every scar, a mark of thought's crusade. In the battlefield of minds we've made. Speak your truth, but bear the cost. Every claim can still get lost in the war of voice and vision. Feel the friction. We clash our swords of reason. No silence left for indecision. Ideas break with loud precision. We clash our swords of reason. Strike me with logic, I'll bleed my proof. We cut through chaos to carve out truth. Let the sparks fly, let the echo scream. This is no debate, it's a metal dream. We clash our swords of reason. In the storm of thought collision. Forged in fire, pure precision. We clash our swords of reason. Reason bleeds but never dies. No surrender, no retreat. In the war of words, we find a beat.